right, yo, welcome everybody. This is the Uncivilized Arts podcast, geek and internet culture podcast with a lean towards creativity and cultural impact. And I do have a little bit of more than a little bit of a cold, but I think I'm on the better side now, so my voice might be a little bit off today, but hopefully still strong enough to get through this podcast. But we're going to be talking about all kinds of cool things today, and as you might have already ascertained if you're watching on YouTube, but maybe not if you're listening, but even so, I'm going to let you know anyway. I have a guest today. My guest goes by the name of Sweet Bundy. He's a streamer, content creator, all kinds of cool stuff, and just a good all-around guy that I follow on social media and enjoy his posts and takes on things. And we're going to get his takes on a lot of things, especially the main topic of the day is going to be Bel-Air. So we're going to talk about the Bel-Air show, the spin-off, or not even spin-off, but the reimagining of the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, the dramatic reimagining. We're going to get some spoilers with that, and I'll let you know when we do. So you be warned before we get into spoilers. But just so you know now, by the time we get to that bit, we're going to do some non-spoiler bit. But I'll let you know we're going to get into spoilers because we are going to go into some detail because we need to talk about this show. We need to talk. There's a lot of things to be said about this show, and we need to talk about it as detailed as possible. So that's what we're going to do a bit later on. But for now, Sweet Bundy, tell the people who you is.
Well, I'm Sweet Bundy. I haven't streamed on Twitch in quite a while, but I do upload on YouTube. I'm not really looking to be a YouTuber necessarily just yet. But of course, when I'm asked to go ahead and feature on a podcast such as this, I have to do it. I have to go ahead and be here with Bandit Haze. I don't give a damn. Last time was great, and this time will be even better. So I'm all for it.
Awesome. Yes, so for those who might not know, I dibbled and dabbled in the podcast world a little while ago on a different channel. That video is actually still over on that channel. It's my vlogging channel where Sweet Bunny and I had a chat for a little while about some things. And some of the things we're going to catch up on a little bit on this podcast as well. But for those interested, yeah, that is a conversation we had a while back now. I guess about 7-8 months ago, give or take. I think we last spoke, wasn't it? It was a while back, wasn't it? So yeah, but let's catch up a little bit then. What you been playing? What you been watching? What you been doing? What's caught your fancy? Anything you want to recommend, or anything you definitely want to tell people to avoid?
First off, I gotta say, no matter what side you're on, first off, I really don't see why anyone would pick a side when it comes to gaming. Like you have to pick PlayStation, or you have to pick Xbox. I think that's fucking stupid. Regardless, you have to get Game Pass. Game Pass is legendary, and it's gonna get better. Like the amount of games that's on there, and now that you could even play without downloading, and you could play on your PC. I'm not even trying to promote it. I'm just really telling you. One-on-one, get Game Pass. Okay, it's worth the price. You could go ahead and get what you want. You could test out these games and games that you never would have tested out before. So I've been hooked on Game Pass.
What you been playing on Game Pass?
I finally got to play Halo Infinite.
Okay. What do you think of it?
They redeemed themselves because let me tell you, I came from playing Halo 2 all the way back when it first came out. The very first game that I ever played when I got an Xbox. And I played every Halo game except the strategy ones. I forgot.
All right, like Halo Wars.
Yes, Halo Wars. So except Halo Wars, I played every damn Halo game. All right. Halo 4, I like the gameplay as far as like how I like fast-paced gameplay. And that game is fast paced. I loved it. I loved the abilities that you could have. So multiplayer, I was hooked on it. Game like story wise, it was trash. They had you fight the same boss. I don't know how many times. And then they said they did even worse in Halo 5. First off, Halo 5, I will never forgive. I could rant, and I'm not going to, don't worry. But I could rant about how much I passionately dislike Halo 5.
That was Guardians, wasn't it? Halo 5 Guardians.
Yes.
Okay, yeah. I've played them all. I was trying to remember which one it was, but yeah, cool.
Yo, that game can kiss my ass. It could burn in hell. that game actually turned me off to first person shooters for a while. The only first person shooter, and you can't, some people will argue that it's not a first person shooter that I was playing was Overwatch.
Okay, yeah,
That's
yeah.
it. And
Oh, which is pretty cool. I haven't played it for a while, but I enjoyed Overwatch.
I like Overwatch. I just don't like the community. Flat
Well,
out.
yeah,
The
yeah.
community sucks. Uh, people
Microphone
are,
off when
oh
played.
man, I can't tell you. Like, don't get me wrong. I used to be one of those toxic people too, but it's because the environment, like they bring it out of you. And, and don't get me wrong, I come from like again, I come from the Halo days where we were hearing a lot worse. You already know what I'm talking about. The minute you get on, they turn it
Mm,
into a meme now. But the minute you get on the mic and they know what you are, you already know what you're gonna hear.
uh-huh. Yeah.
So you got to kick their ass. And then back then, people on the other team could hear you. Damn, I sound old.
Yeah. Well, I mean, yeah, it is what it is. I mean, I remember one time. I mean, here's the thing. Like, so I don't know why, but 'cause I mean, I used to work on telephones. This happened then as well, but I
Mhm,
get mistaken for a white guy for my voice, and I'm not sure why that is. But it's happened quite a few times. And I remember one time, it wasn't Halo; it was another game that I was playing, where it was in the lobby. It was like way back in the Xbox days. I think it was like
mhm.
Midnight Club actually. It was way back in the original Xbox days, and we're in the lobby. We're all playing this game, having a good time, and then all of a sudden, some guy's like, "Hey guys, you want to hear a joke about black people?" And I was like, okay. And he tells a joke. I can't remember what the joke was, but he tells a joke. And the joke was, it was all right. It wasn't super offensive, I don't think. I mean, not I remember
Mhm.
anyway. But it was kind of okay. I kind of chuckled a little bit. And everyone's kind of laughing. But then it kind of felt awkward that I'm pretty sure I'm the only black guy here and everybody's laughing at this joke. So I'm like,
Yeah.
okay, just so you know, guys know, I'm a black guy. And I said, look, I wasn't offended by the joke. Don't worry about it. I said that, and then the guy was just like, "Oh, okay. Well, I gotta go now. Bye." And yeah, so
Well,
yeah, it's just I had a good game session and it just ended real awkward. But oh well,
hey, I mean, that sounds like one of the nicer stories. I was expecting it to go
probably yeah.
really south.
It could have been a lot worse. I think. I mean, I really can't remember what the joke was, but to my mind, I remember it kind of. But to be honest, maybe I'm not the best barometer. Or not even the best. Maybe I'm not even a good barometer to use when it comes to being offended because I mean I laugh at some terrible things. So
Mhm.
I'm that guy that laughs at some of the worst things that you probably shouldn't be laughing at. So maybe anybody else would have heard that joke and would be like, actually, that is super inappropriate. And I'm the only one going, well, I don't know, it's kind of funny.
Well, with me, as long as the joke is funny, I'll laugh at it. You know,
Mm,
it depends because, of course, there's some sensitivity involved. But
yeah.
my favorite comedian of all time is Dave Chappelle, and
Oh
we
yeah,
already
yeah, yeah.
know how offensive Dave Chappelle can be.
He can go
But
there.
the offensive part is if you try to be funny and you say something really offensive or whatever, and it's just
Yeah.
edgy. It just comes off as edgy, and that's it. You didn't even make anyone chuckle. You just
Mm,
wasted everyone's time, and now you piss some people off. Are you
yeah.
happy now?
Right. No, I agree. I feel like the difference is like I mean, I feel like there's a difference between being being funny and being offensive. And
Hmm.
you could be funny talking about sensitive subjects, but that doesn't necessarily mean you're being offensive by talking about those subjects. You could tell a joke around something without it being an insult. And I think once it becomes an insult is when it becomes offensive. I think comedians
Hmm.
like Dave Chappelle know how to walk that line. Bill Burr, Andrew Schultz as well. They know how to walk that line very strategically, where they
Yeah.
can talk about really sensitive subjects, but it never kind of ventures into just flat out insulting people. You know.
There's another comedian actually that I've been watching, Sam Morrill,
Okay.
Morrill. I'm mispronouncing his last name. Forgive me, but it's Morril, something like that. I've
Hmm.
been watching him because of YouTube Shorts, right? And this guy is fucking hilarious. You got to check him out. He's like you mentioned Bill Burr, and Bill Burr is another one of my favorites. He kind of reminds me of Bill Burr a little bit. Not as energetic as Bill Burr, but more of like a real laid back um Bill Burr kind of vibe to him. This guy is fucking hilarious. Sam Morrill or Morrill,
Okay.
whatever. I
Yeah, I've
don't know how
got
to
some
pronounce
images
his
of him
last
on the
name.
screen, but yeah, I think I've seen this guy actually. He looks familiar. I'm not sure. Not sure I remember any of his jokes, but I'm pretty sure I've seen this guy somewhere because he does look like somebody I've seen around. So I've probably heard one or two of his jokes at some point. But yeah, he looks very familiar.
Yeah, I love that guy.
All
Oh man.
right. Let me just say a few things of what I've been doing lately. So I've
Mhm.
mostly been playing Far Cry 6, and I've been playing that free state. By the way, y'all going to talk about streaming platforms in a little while, but yeah, just to echo everything you said about Game Pass, I agree. But I've been playing Far Cry 6 on Stadia, which is another streaming service, and it's as far as the stream goes, it's pretty smooth. I play on my phone, I
Mhm.
play it on my computer. I like that I can switch between the two when I'm out, when I'm at home, and it's just you just pick up where you left off. It's really cool. So the stream itself is nice, really smooth, really nice. Almost like playing it natively. It's just that nice, you know. But the game itself is pretty cool. I would say that my gripe with the game though, and it's just kind of like typical Ubisoft BS as far as I can tell. As far as well, out of the games that I've played, it seems like typical Ubisoft BS where they I mean side missions are fine, of course, but it seems like they purposefully designed the game so that you're constantly being sidetracked before you could just do the main missions so you can level up so that you're not too lower levels to do the main missions, you know what I mean, that sort of thing. And it kind of does that, which it kind of get a bit annoying because oftentimes I just want to play the because I like doing side missions, but I also like to just play the main game when I want to play the main game. But when you're too lower level, and it's like, okay, now I've got to do some side missions so I could get
Uh,
level up enough, and it just feels a bit long to me. And it's like it's the same issue I had with things like Assassin's Creed Origins, where it's like that game was an amazing 15-20 hour game, and it's a 40 hour. Instead it becomes a mediocre 40+ hour game. You know what I mean? It could have been
mhm.
an amazing 15 to 20 hour experience. Instead, they made a mediocre 40 hour experience, and it feels like they're doing the same with this, where it's just going to be a super long game that doesn't need to be as long as it is. I'm not that far into it. I guess I'm still relatively close to beginning, ish. But even now, I'm just getting a feeling this is going to be a super long game that's going to be way longer than it actually needs to be. But aside from that, it's pretty okay. I'm enjoying it for the most part so far. I do like the general kind of story and the lore or what they cultivated. So I'm not too many complaints about how they've designed the game. But yeah, it does feel like typical use of BS at parts. But mostly, I would say more positive. In terms of the experience that I'm having, more positive than negatives, but those negatives are a bit niggly.
Yeah. So that's the Far Cry 6 is the one with the actor from Breaking Bad and also Fresh, right?
Yes, yeah, that's right. Forgot his name right now, but yes, Gustavo. No, he plays Gustavo Fring.
Yeah.
That's not his real name. He
Yeah.
plays Gustavo Fring.
He's a legend.
He's also in
I only know how to pronounce
uh
his last name, Esposito.
yeah
I know
let
his
me
first name starts with a G. I just can't pronounce it. It's not Gustavo.
uh I'm looking it up now. Giancarlo, that's it. Giancarlo
Okay.
Esposito.
Well, damn.
Giancarlo Esposito. Yeah, he was in Usual Suspects like way back in the day. If I want to remember that.
He's a legend. He's been in so many movies. The first time I saw him was in Fresh when I was a kid, and he
Fresh. I
creeps
don't,
me
I don't
the
think I
hell
know what that
out.
is actually. What's
Yeah,
Fresh?
that it's a classic. I don't want to say classic hood movie, but yo, it is a classic hood movie. Not your typical hood movie, but more like just telling the story of like the street life of kids in the early 90s. It came out in 1992 if I'm not mistaken. Um they
Okay,
also
that's
had another actor that's like you've seen his face so many times even when he got older, but he didn't get the recognition that he deserves, and I can't even remember his name, unfortunately. But Fresh is great. If you haven't seen it and you like movies like that, like Juice, for
yeah,
example,
yeah.
you got to watch Fresh. Fresh is a classic, and
Okay.
it's barely mentioned, unfortunately.
Yeah, looks like Sam Jackson's in this as well.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
is he?
LaBouche writes. Okay.
Huh.
Okay, cool. I'm gonna have to check this out. I used to watch so many of those. I mean, back in the day, like I mean, I guess we grew up like we grow up. You grow up in you say the hood, we say the ends. But yeah, when you grow up in places, films like this. I mean, not that I clearly haven't seen this one, but films like this, people talk about them. So like, yeah, Boys in the Hood, Juice you mentioned, Higher Learning,
Menace to Society.
Man of Society, yeah. And the thing is, like, I didn't realize because they were so popular in my area and in my school. I didn't realize there were more sort of niche movies until I, started going to like, your work and uni and stuff like that, where you have people from different parts of the country and say more fairer toned people, right? And you start talking about a house party, and I'm like, house party, yeah, everybody knows house party, super, and that dance music's classic,
Yeah.
and they're like, what's a house party? I'm like, you've never seen a house party? And it's like, I was so surprised that so many people never even heard of house party because it was so popular where we grew up, right? It was like everybody's seen house party where you grew up. Everybody knows that the Kid and Play. If I say the Kid and Play dance, you know what I'm talking about, right? It was so popular. But like, you come out of that environment and you go into like other places where you got people from different parts of the country, maybe different parts of the world, and you kind of realize that, okay, yeah, I guess it's more of a niche market. Like, people don't know what house party is. Like, that's crazy to me, but that's the world, man.
Yeah, there's a lot of times where I'm surprised that people haven't seen certain movies. Fresh isn't one of them because Fresh is it kind of like it's one of those movies where it's there, but it's so easily forgotten, unfortunately, because it didn't reach the heights of everything else. Like, for example, it didn't fall into cliches. It was more of like a serious hood movie, if that makes any sense. Like, for example, you got jokes in Boys in the Hood, where we kind of make fun of certain things now, like that scene with Cuba Gooding Jr. coming in and he's swinging at the air and almost hit his girlfriend. And then he starts like hugging her.
Female.
Yeah. In the story that he had when he told his father about losing his virginity in his face, shit like that. They made fun of it. So it's one of those things where that made it memorable. Fresh is one of those things where it was serious, and the shit that happens in that movie is like it's a little traumatizing. If you're not prepared for it, if you're like sensitive, then yeah, that movie may not be for you. But if you're one of those people that you want to see a good movie, especially from back then and of that that vibe, go for it. Fresh, 1992.
It's like, by the way, it's 1994. I just got it on
oh
yeah, I got it on stream. So it's actually
Really?
1994.
1994.
But it's okay. You're only 2 years out, so it's not a bad guess. Not a bad guess. But yeah, I think I might want to check that out at some point because it does look like the type of movie I should be seeing.
Please do.
All right then. Yeah. So also, I've been watching Buffy the Vampire Slayer because I never actually watched that back when it was on. So I'm literally watching it for the first time now. I'm on season 2, episode 18 was the last one I just watched, and I was like, yeah, it's pretty cool so far. It's definitely a lot better than I thought it would be. So I'm really enjoying that. I mean, it's 90s cheese. Like it's definitely like a lot of 90s cheese. Did you watch Buffy, by the way, or did you see it when it was on? Or did you ever watch that?
When I was a kid, people always have that channel on. If I'm not mistaken, was what it's called now is CW. I forgot what it was called back then, but they used to always have that damn channel on. It was Seventh Heaven or something like that. You know, all the shows of that era, always on those channels. You know what I'm talking about, though. Unfortunately, the father ended up being a pedophile. Does that sound familiar now? Like in real life, the actor.
Wait, what are we talking about? Wait.
So there's another show that used to be on that channel. I think it's called Seventh Heaven.
Another show called Seventh Heaven.
Yeah.
I was confused. I was like, wait, what?
No, there's no pedals on Buffy the Vampire Slayer.
I was thinking, what kind of spoilers you giving away right now? What's going on? I was confused. Okay, so another show called Seventh Heaven, where the real life actor turned out to be a pedophile. Okay. Yeah. Okay. So, and that was the same channel as Buffy. Okay.
Exactly. That was my main point of bringing it up.
Right. Okay.
So I caught a few episodes of those shows, and Buffy the Vampire Slayer is one of them. Cool. And also I saw them on compilations on YouTube, of course, whenever they'll talk about scenes or something like that. I never
The
got into it only
okay.
because like uh I don't know. It just for me, I saw Blade and I was like, that's a
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
vampire slayer.
Yeah, like I
And then
guess
I
it's
saw
part of it
Buffy.
as well. Because
Yeah,
Blade was 90, I think 96 or around about the same. I think it was just before, maybe about a year before Buffy started. Let me just double check.
it's
But
definitely in that
it
era.
was, it was
Late 90s at least. Like it has to be late 90s, I
oh,
think.
okay, 98 actually. So maybe a year after Buffy started. It was
Yeah.
98. But yeah, it was around about the same sort of time. And when Buffy started, I knew it was based on a movie from like the early 90s, which haven't seen either.
Oh, I didn't know that.
And it just didn't, the show just didn't look that appealing to me when it was on. I was like, no, whatever. It looks a bit pansy, whatever. I'm not interested. And of course, Blade came out, and Blade looks
Hmm.
awesome. And this is even
And
before I
the
realized
music.
Blade was based on a comic. I just thought it looked awesome, right? And then watch the movie, and of course, Blade just the first two Blade movies. The third one we shall not talk about. The third one we can just forget about that one. But yeah, so at that time it was all about Blade, and Buffy just kind of fell by the wayside. Even Angel, when that started, I heard about it. I just thought, nah, I just can't be bothered. But yeah, years later, 25 years later, it gets recommended that I should check it out, so I do, and I check it out. And yeah, you definitely have to be prepared for the fact that this was made in the 90s, back when
Yeah.
you've got longer seasons, right? Because there wasn't as much on TV, so you could have just longer seasons, which means you got a few filler episodes in there as well. You don't really get it anymore because everything has to be like catch your attention right away. 8 seasons, eight
Mhm.
episodes, 10 episodes. So you kind of have to allow for that. The fact that it is longer seasons, but aside from the fact that a few episodes are definitely a bit more filler, than more story progression. It's
Yeah.
pretty good. I'm enjoying it. I'm still digging it, and yeah, almost at the end of this second season now. So looking forward to see how that wraps up.
I'm interested in checking it out then because like I mean, of course, everybody that I heard that was a fan of the show, is kind of expected to be.
Mm,
So to hear you say that, you found it interesting, that's pretty good.
yeah,
But you mentioned something that's really good as far as like shows go. Like shows nowadays, yeah, they don't really get the chance to flesh out things.
mm,
Averagely, the first season has to be like 8 episodes. Even Breaking Bad, The Wire, 8 to 10 episodes at most for a first season. Hell,
mm,
even when I see a show has 10 episodes for the first season, I'm shocked now, and it
yeah,
sucks because the show is focusing so much on putting as much as they can in that short amount of time instead of
yeah,
just fleshing it out, taking their time, and just letting the show blossom a little bit. Why are we
yeah.
so quick to cancel?
I mean,
Like, damn.
it's kind of a double-edged sword, I think, because on one hand, it's cool that you could get more of the story in a short amount of time, more of like the main story in a short amount of time, and that usually means that you're a bit more engaged with it. But then, yeah, the downside is that you don't necessarily get to flesh out certain characters as much as you might like. And I think I want to talk more of that when we get to Bel-Air, because I feel that's part of what happened there a little bit as well. But we'll
Yeah.
say it till later on. But yeah, I think you're right. Like certain things, I think there's certain things that it benefits to have shorter seasons, but there's certain things that it doesn't quite benefit to have shorter seasons. So like maybe 8 to 10 episodes might be great for one show, but 8 to 10 episodes might be just too little for another show. And
Hmm.
maybe there needs to be a bit more of a balance, because I get why. Of course, I understand. Why that happens, because there is so much choice now and people's attentions are so split now. It's difficult to get into something that's 20 plus episodes. It's difficult to get into something that goes on for just a long time now, because
Yeah.
there's this to watch, there's that to watch, there's this to catch up on, there's that to watch, there's Netflix. Yeah, we're gonna talk more about streaming in a moment, but there's so much choice now, that I understand why shows tend to be shorter seasons. It makes sense for that. But yeah, the downside is that you don't always get things fleshed out as much as you'd like.
Yeah. And this is gonna piss off some anime fans, but that's one of the reasons why I can't get into One Piece. It's too damn long. It's
Yeah,
been going on since I was a kid, and it's still going on.
yeah, animes. Well, it kind of varies for me when it comes to anime. Some, yeah, just going for forever, and I just can't be bothered with that. But then there's others that are like Attack on Titan. I'm falling way behind on Attack on Titan, so I think it's ending soon. So I might try and watch it
Ah,
all once
boy.
it finally ends. But
Well, you got
yeah,
time. Let's just say that, okay? You got a hell of a lot of time, so don't worry
I've,
about it.
to be honest, I thought it ended last year, but apparently. it was the first part of the last season. Now they're doing the second part of the last season. So I don't know. Maybe it's not ended soon at all. Maybe it's gonna the last season's gonna have like 27 parts or something. Who knows how they're gonna do it in the end? But
they already got a third part of the final season coming
Oh,
out.
it's a third part. Okay.
Yeah.
Bloody hell, man.
And that's coming out, I think, next year or at the end of this year.
Oh,
Most
so
likely next year.
It might be a while then.
Yeah.
All
So
right,
again, you have time. They were supposed to end it on part 2, but they said, you know what? Let's flesh it out. Some people want to defend it. Me personally, I'm in the camp of just end this shit. It's great. Don't get me wrong. When I say end this shit, I just want to go ahead and see it all. Not so much as like, oh my God, it's so mind blowing, but rather, come on, stop dragging it out at this point. I don't want the animators and everything to be overworked, because I was one of the people that liked the new animators, Mappa. I liked them. Yeah, it's a little jarring to go from strictly animation to some of the 3D models that they introduced, but I get it. If it makes it easier, it makes it quicker for them, and the amount of work that they have to put in, because the manga, the art style is crazy. Like, it's a dramatic improvement from his earlier work. So the artist is incredible, and he draws these panels that are just like, when I read those panels for the first time, I was like, man, how the fuck are they going to animate this? So I'm still looking forward, even though I know what's going to happen, I'm still looking forward to actually seeing the visuals, because it's a different dynamic when you see it animated than just panels. Just like when comic book read, well, that's a little different, but some comic book readers, they know what's going to happen in the show and everything, or rather the shows, movies, or whatever, but they still want to see how it's going to look on screen in a different art style, whatever the hell I should say. Yeah, exactly. Thank you.
No, I think I get that. And just to your point about it, just wanted to end. I think, when it comes to these sorts of things, my personal belief is that as much as you might love a show or you want to see it go forever, I think it's always better to just end it strong rather than keep going until they just run out of good ideas. And then, because there's definitely a few shows in the past that went on longer than they needed to go and just ended up waffling for the last maybe 1 or 2 seasons, where it's like,
no, please, if you got a few in your mind right now, please mention them, because I already got a couple.
Here's the thing. I'm a bit reluctant to say this one, but I think it is still a good example. Lost. And the reason why I'm a bit reluctant to say it is because I actually really enjoyed Lost. I was probably one of the only people watching it all the way through when it came down to it. And I appreciate the way it actually ended. I think the way it ended was a good way to end it. I know it disappointed a lot of people. I personally felt it was a good ending. That being said, I think it is fair to say that it probably didn't need to go on for 6 seasons. Like, it probably could have been 4 seasons, maybe 5 at the most, but it definitely didn't need to go on for 6. There was a lot of filler, and it did feel like they were kind of running out of ideas a lot of the time. So I feel like I liked it. I appreciated it. I liked the way it ended. I was one of that hardcore guy that watched it all the way through. But it didn't need to go for 6 seasons. Like, it felt like it was 1, maybe 2 seasons too long. It had been, say, 4 seasons and ended the way it ended, or similar to the way it ended, it would have been amazing. As it is, it's still pretty good in my opinion. But it was definitely a lot of filler in the last few seasons.
Yeah, I haven't watched it personally, but one of my close family members had watched it, and I remember they were hooked on it, and then there was like this period where they were just like, what the fuck is going on? And then the ending just had them baffled.
What? That was the collective groan of most Lost fans who actually watched the end. They were like, what the what? I was like, I mean, here's the thing, the ending, okay, I think, to be fair, the ending's not like mind-blowing amazing, nothing like that. Like, not in my opinion, it wasn't like that. But the reason why I say I appreciate the ending, though, is that I feel like the way it ended, and I'm not going to give any spoilers, but I just feel like with everything that happened, there wasn't really any other way you could end it. You know, aside from doing something really ridiculous, like it was all a dream, some nonsense like that. I feel like the way they ended it was a good way to end it. And maybe it wasn't mind-blowing amazing, and answered all the questions. I'm kind of glad it didn't answer all the questions. I'm glad it kept a few mysteries going. But the way it ended, although not amazing, I feel like it pretty much was the only way you could end it and still have some kind of decent ending.
Okay.
So that's why I'm like, okay, cool. I get it.
There were a few actors that I know that's in Lost that came from one of my favorite shows that had the same problem. Oz, that was on HBO.
Oh yeah, I remember Oz.
Oh, you watched it?
Yeah. I don't watch it all the way through, but I remember it being on late in the UK. J.K. Simmons was on that back in the day.
Yes.
Harold Perrineau was on that back. Oh, I have to big up my man Mum's Schema. I don't know if you know him. He was a poet.
Yeah.
You know it.
Okay.
He's an amazing poet, and he was on that show as well. He actually played a guy called Poet. But yeah,
and all his poems were like all the poems that he recited in that show were his own.
I didn't know that, but that doesn't surprise me. Yeah, that guy's incredible.
Yeah,
you know?
That show, I love that show. First off, that show is very sentimental to me. Because I watched it with somebody that is no longer alive anymore. But we watched that shit together multiple times. I love that show. However, it went on too long. There were times where they did things like they killed off certain characters, and I'm just like, you didn't have to kill them off just because this actor is going to do a movie, because they could come right back. Just lock their ass up. It's prison. Lock their ass up somewhere.
Solitary confinement, son.
Exactly. You did it before. So why are you killing this character off? So there were times where it's like, wow, what is going on here? Towards the end, like the 5th and 6th season, I was just like, what are you doing? Now this is a controversial one. Some people say that The Wire shouldn't have had a 5th season.
To be honest, I would say The Wire shouldn't have a 2nd episode. Now that's controversial. No, I'm playing. To be honest, I'm half playing. I watched the very first episode of The Wire after like everyone was like, oh, it's amazing, it's amazing. So I watched the very first episode of The Wire and it just didn't do it for me. I might to be honest, I might try it again, because the reasons why it didn't do it for me, I guess I'm a little less bothered by those sorts of things now. So I might try it again. And I'll tell you what didn't do it for me. I just felt there was way too much swearing. And that sounds like, I don't mind swearing in shows, movies, whatever you're swearing. But in this show, in this particular, it felt like you gave a 5-year-old a license to use the swear words, right? And all he did was like every other word was an F-bomb. And I was just like, bro, there are other words in the dictionary. Like, what's going on here? So I thought, I'm not sure I could be bothered with the rest of this. So I was like, no, I'm out. First episode, I'm out. But maybe I'll try it again. Maybe I'll try it again, because like I say, that sort of stuff doesn't bother me as much. Well, I don't know. Maybe it still does. I guess I have to watch it again and find out if it still bothers me. But we'll see.
No, if you're truly bothered by the curse words and everything, then don't even watch The Wire, because they actually have a legendary scene where they only curse.
Okay.
It's a legendary scene.
Sorry, Karen.
No, go ahead.
I was gonna say, does it feel natural though? Because like it's like Scarface, for example, has loads of swearing, but it all feels natural to what they're doing and how they speak and the way the movie is. It never feels out of place. The issue I had more so that it just felt like it was forced. It felt like they just threw in all these F-bombs for no good reason other than they can. You know what I mean? That's how it felt to me. Like somebody told them that they're allowed to, so they went, yep, F this, F that, F this, F that, F this, F. I was like, okay, right. But so does it feel natural? Does it feel like that's how they would speak, or does it feel like they're just swearing for the sake of swearing?
If we're talking about that specific scene, I would say based on those characters, yes, it felt natural. But then again, this is coming from somebody that, I'm used to hearing people curse and everything like that, like just freely. Just because I don't curse like that much, it doesn't mean that I'm not used to it. Like, I'm very used to it. It just, for me, this is just a little weird thing, I guess. For me, it's about the delivery. If you're really aggressive with your cursing, like people say fuck, and it's just, flows out. some people really go hard on the F part, like fuck, like relax. You sound like you're barking. Relax. So I guess it depends on the delivery and also, but I totally get where you're coming from. For me, I don't like when shows are overly sexual unless like it makes sense. Like if you have a character that's like I don't know, a sex worker or something. Okay, fine. Yeah, that is going to be sexual. If you have a guy who's a horny drunk guy, of course he's going to be sexual. But if you're just like out of nowhere, these two are talking and then she's like, yeah, I want to do this, I want to do that, or the guy's like, yeah, I want to do this, I want to do that. It's like, chill the fuck out.
Yeah, and I'd agree with that as well. There's certain things where it's just like it just doesn't need to be there. You know what I mean? It feels like sometimes they just put it there just because they can. You know, oh, we want a 18 certificate or an R rating in the US. Oh, let's have some boobs, okay? But why? And you know, sometimes it can be funny. You know, sometimes it can be funny. Sometimes it can be like, okay, it's just one scene, so whatever. But yeah, sometimes it's just like it's all over the place. It's just like, why? Like what?
Yeah.
It's not far. It's not that far of a porno at this point. It's just like,
dude, like Euphoria. I love that show. Like I was one of the people that was like, I ain't watching that. I'm not watching it. I'm not watching it. Somebody convinced me to watch it. I watched it. I got hooked. But the amount of dicks in Euphoria is insane. It's too damn high. It's too damn high. I never seen that many dicks before, and I don't ever want to see that many dicks before ever again. It's insane.
Was it all dicks, no boobs?
I mean, yeah, but it's more. It's way more dicks than boobs.
No vagine.
You know what? I don't even remember.
No vajayjays.
I don't remember because it was too many damn dicks.
Yeah, you know, I don't need. I mean, here's the thing about Euphoria, like that put me off. Is actually more to do with the nudity as well. I don't need to see some 18, 19-year-olds pussy. Like I don't need to do that. Or some young girls' titties. Like I don't. It's like I don't. How old are they? What 18, 19, 20? Like it's. I mean, they're legal, whatever. But I don't. Look, I'm at that age where 20-year-olds. No, I mean, you do you, but no.
No, I get it. For me, what hooked me onto the show is I knew drug addicts before. You know, I even had a family member that was a drug addict. Now, fortunately, they were never that down bad, but I've seen drug addicts that bad. And holy shit, Zendaya is an incredible actor. Like, I'm telling you, some of these scenes, you have to watch them whether you have context or not. Yeah. The way it's played out, and not just her, but other actors around her, the fucking acting is so good. Yeah, it's mind-blowing.
Zendaya is incredible.
Incredible.
Yeah, Zendaya is incredible. Just some of other things I've seen her in, or some sort of clips I've seen her do, and I think she's going to be someone to really watch in terms of like her career, because whereas. I mean, she's what? I think she's early 20s still. She's still young.
Yeah.
And I feel like she hasn't peaked. You know, she's far from peaking, you know, from what I can tell. She's been in some big movies for sure, you know, but I feel like she is far from peaking, you know. So, I think she's going to be one to watch over the coming, you know, years, decades even, you know, God willing, nothing bad happens to
knock on wood, because motherfuckers been taken out so quick. It's a shame. Oh yeah, and rest in peace. Now that we're on it, rest in peace to my guy. You heard that he passed, right?
Oh, yes. Gottfried.
Yeah.
Yeah. I saw that on yesterday on the Twitters yesterday. I don't know much about him, to be honest. I mean, I knew of him, and of course the voice, and you know, he kind of famous for that voice. I don't believe I've heard or seen much of his stand-ups or anything like that, so I should probably check some of those out. So I don't know a lot about his comedy career, but yeah, I know of the actor.
Yeah, Gilbert, like, I remember, of course, Aladdin. That's how I got introduced to him. And then after that, I would see him in a couple of other movies. I can't really name any off the top of my head, but I remember watching his interviews, like on Howard Stern, for example, or rather the time he guest on Howard Stern. And just, for me, it's like I had forgotten about him for a while, and then he had some controversy with a certain joke that he did. And
Okay,
then
yeah.
I was like, oh yeah, this guy. So I started looking at his stuff again. God was funny. It was more than just his voice. So yeah, it sucks that he passed. And you know what's weird? I don't want to be one of those people that's like, yeah, I'm a psychic. Um, with that said, there was a picture of him, Louis Anderson, rest in peace, and Bob Saget, rest in peace. And when that picture was posted, I was like, oh fuck. Because you know, there's a saying that death comes in threes. And when they showed
Okay.
that picture, and he's the only one alive in that picture at that time, I was like, oh fuck. I wasn't expecting this though. I was not expecting him to pass away this year or anything like that.
I
It's
mean,
been
to be
crazy.
fair, we've all probably taken a picture with somebody who's going to die. So,
True,
I
true.
mean,
But it's just weird
this
that
is
they
kind of how
all
that
died
goes,
in the
right?
same year. If I'm not mistaken, unless Bob Saget died like late last year, I think he died this year. If I'm not mistaken, forgive me
Um,
for being wrong if I'm wrong. But it's just eerie, you know. It's one of those things where I'm
what was
not
the other guy? Sorry, Lou
superstitious
Anderson.
necessarily, huh?
You say Lou Anderson was the other kind of picture?
Louis Anderson,
Yeah, you said the other kind of picture was that Lou Anderson.
yeah,
Okay, all right, yeah. So yeah, all 2022. Yeah, they all died
yeah,
2022.
that's really weird. So, uh,
Mm. Well, rest in peace to all of them and the countless
yeah.
unnamed. Um, all right, let's move on to the next bit. Get into a few topics now.
Hmm.
Um, So the first topic, I want to get your opinion on something because yeah, we spoke a little while ago, and I remember you saying that Donda was better than CLB, Certified Lover Boy, which I disagreed with. To be honest, I felt like both those albums weren't necessarily good, but I felt CLB was at least a little bit better. But anyway,
Wow.
now we don't have a CLB 2, at least not as far as I know, but we do have a Donda 2. And I talked a little bit about this on an earlier podcast, on a podcast a few episodes ago. So I've already given a few of my opinions, but just kind of recap what I thought of Donda 2 being on stem player. The idea
Mhm.
of a stem player where you got this album, you can listen to it and you can change the tempo of the tracks, and you could isolate one track from a different track, from the drums to the guitars or whatever. You can isolate different tracks and speed them up and slow them down, do all these kind of things. I feel like
Mhm.
that's a cool idea. However, it's more of it feels to me that it's more of a novelty. And when it comes down to it, when I want to listen to an album, I want to listen to an album. I don't really want to be fiddling around with the tempo and whatever. I just want to listen to the album. And if the only way I can listen to the album is through the stem player, then it becomes cumbersome because I have to carry this thing around with me. I have to plug it into my stereo. I have to plug it into my car. I have to plug it into this, plug it into that. The only legal way we can listen to the album is through the stem player. So it feels like more of a nuisance afterwards. It's a cool novelty, right? And I think it's something. Personally, I would say it's a good idea in terms of an option for the hardcore Kanye West fans to have something like that, as well as having an album on other platforms. But then the other thoughts I had was that Wu-Tang Clan did something sort of similar way back in the day when they released that album as one copy, just one copy only, and it went on auction and sold for however it sold for.
Oh yeah,
And the
that
person
one
who
guy
bought
bought
it
it.
was it Shkreli? I can't remember his name right now, but he's like a
Yeah,
pharmaceutical
Skrelly or
guy.
something.
Yeah. Um, so yeah, he's the only person who could listen to that album up until things like 21 something or other, some 100 years or 200 years from now. So until then, nobody else can hear that album. So I guess artists have done these sorts of things in the past where they make something that is really for a select few people to hear and not necessarily for the wide audience. And in fairness, they have the right to do that. I guess it just sucks if you're a Kanye West fan and you've got all his albums so far, and you come to this one, now you've got to fork out $200, which you might not have, to listen to this album. And the only way you can listen to it is through the stem player. And what happens if that stem player breaks? You've got to buy another one, so that's another $200. So yeah. So as someone who thought Donda was a better album, what do you think of Donda 2 and stem player and Kanye West's decision to put it exclusively on a stem player for $200?
Honestly, I think it's just some weird shit. Just to be very blunt about it, Donda 2, I got to hear a few tracks from it, and it's pretty much what you would expect from Kanye. Great beats, great productions, good features. A little lackluster from most of his verses because I don't know. Kanye seems like he really needs a break and needs to focus on his mental health. That's just my opinion. I don't know the man, but I've been a fan of his since I was a kid, since I was in junior high. And I think everybody can agree that we've seen a decline ever since, the death of his mother. And he never had that resolved. So in his art, you could kind of see that transformation as well. You started to see him go into a more experimental thing. And he still released tracks that, like that really was of his original essence, his original vibe and everything. But it seems like now he's starting to, at least with some tracks, not all tracks. Don't get me don't get me twisted. Like, he still delivers some good verses every now and then, but he does this thing where he will repeat the same word over and over.
Yeah.
And
he did on the first album as well.
Yeah, he did the same damn thing on Easy. That song with The Game. And I love that song. But Donda 2 being on just the stem player, I don't know what he was thinking. I like the idea of a stem player, but what he should have done is offer both. Put Donda 2 on streaming platforms, but also say, hey, if you buy a stem player, you can go ahead and have my album for free right on there, and you can control my stems, because it's great. The stem player itself is a great idea. I would prefer to do it on a laptop. If I'm not mistaken, maybe you could, but if you can't, and you can only use the stem player.
I mean, not legally, but I mean, you probably could do it on a laptop.
But like, what I mean is, actually seeing the program on the computer is easier, I would imagine, because with the stem player, you could download other songs. Like, if you could find stems for other songs, you could put it into the stem player. I read a little briefly on it, so it's a real good tool, and it reminds me of this game that I was hooked on, called Fuser, where you could, it takes stems from songs that we all know, and you could blend them together.
You played a lot of Fuser, didn't you?
Yeah, I love Fuser, but that's a conversation for another time. They betrayed us, man. But anyway, he really should have just offered the album for free, and because even if you have it on the streaming platform, people would have still bought it, because now they got the stems for those songs. They don't have to search and find clean stems of those songs. And there are a lot of songs on Donda 2. It's like about, if I'm not mistaken, anywhere between 12 to 15 songs, maybe.
I think like there was some added after it got released. Was that right?
Probably, because Kanye does have a habit of, like, now, ever since The Life of Pablo, updating his albums, updating songs and everything, which kind of turns me to I don't like that. I don't mind like an updated version, but don't get rid of the original. That's one of the disadvantages of doing songs like this, or doing streaming services, that you can just change songs. You could just remove songs. And it's like, I want the original. I don't care for an updated version necessarily. I don't mind listening to an updated version, but I still want the original damn version. Now I got to go and find that version and download it, for example. But overall,
when everything's in the cloud.
Like, okay, so recently the Black Eyed Peas, remember they came out with that song, I can't say the word, but Let's Get It Started. The original, it had the R word instead.
Oh yeah.
So now apparently Black Eyed Peas had that song removed, so you can only get Let's Get It Started, which is not a big deal. It's not a big deal at all. But I'm just saying that they're able to do that. So imagine if an artist is just like Kanye, he heard a song, I forgot which one it was, and he was like, I don't like the way this sounds. So you had it changed just on the streaming platform, just had it changed, and that was it. If you didn't get the original, too bad.
It's just that's I've noticed that with some other things as well, where things will get updated and something gets removed or changed, whatever, and for the most part it's not a big deal, because maybe it's fixing bugs or whatever, but then when something actually gets taken out, where it's like, well, I like that bit, and now it's gone, and because it is all in the cloud, you don't have is one of the cons we're going to talk about in a little while. That yeah, you don't necessarily have that kind of thing of it. It's just like it's all down to whoever controls that cloud, which yeah, where it's like, yeah, you might have a song, you have the album, you listen to the album, all of a sudden you can't listen to the album anymore, or maybe you have to go subscribe to another streaming platform like Tidal or whatever to get this version, or that platform to get that version, and it's like, ugh, it's long.
Yeah, it's too much. I'm a big lover of music, so I just want the damn music. Like, stop hiding it. Like, it really bothers me. I get it. It's about money, and the artists should be paid more. I hear that constantly about Spotify and everything. I get it, but at the same time, um, just get the money. Just have your songs on the damn platform. I'm tired of like I have songs on my playlist or whatever. I'm already paying premium for this. If I could buy the songs individually, fine, sure, fine. But that stacks up, and I used to do that before streaming became a thing, and my bills were pretty damn high. You at the time you see a song for like 99 cents, and you're like, oh, that doesn't matter. But then
Yeah.
after a whole album, it's like, oof.
Yeah, it adds up real quick.
Like, I can't get breakfast today. So like my thing is, I hate seeing songs removed from platform, and now I have to go out of my way. If I can't, like, say the song isn't available on Apple Music, I can't just download it or whatever. Or even if I do, like, you have to go out of your way in order to get it to play on the playlist. Like Spotify,
Yeah.
you have to go through local files, and then you have on your phone. I don't even know how to do that. So yeah, mm, I don't use Apple Music unless it's like, because shit, I just haven't used Apple Music. I just fell into streaming and listen to Spotify. I love Spotify. I'm sorry.
Apple Music's all streaming now as well, isn't it? Like, I know they used to do like you buy the albums or you buy the singles, but I believe that, I mean, to be honest, I haven't used Apple Music for the longest time now, so maybe I'm misunderstanding it, but I believe I remember hearing that they just do streaming now, like just like, it's like Spotify, like all the other ones. You can't actually buy them anymore, like it is just streaming now. And I guess from a business point of view, that actually does make sense, to have people on a service. But let's save that for a bit later on, actually. But get too much into that. So yeah, before we get more into like streaming services, because it's clear, if it's not clear already, we both got a lot to say about them. Let's talk a little bit about the Oscars fallout, where Will Smith slapped Chris Rock. And I want to talk, yeah, because here's the thing. Let me tell you the events that happened in my timeline. I wake up, right? I don't really pay much attention to the Oscars. I don't even know it was on, but I wake up and I see a tweet from you, sir, Sweet Bundy, and the tweet says something like, "Will Smith slapped Chris Rock, #Bel-Air," right? And so I thought you posted a spoiler for Bel-Air. I was thinking, yo, did this man just spoil Bel-Air for me? What's going on? That's my initial thought. I start scrolling down a little bit on Twitter, and then it's like, well, did that really happen? Did this really happen? And then I'm thinking, what's going on? And then I see what happened. Chris Rock slapped, Will Smith slapped Chris Rock at the Oscars for the joke. Now, so yeah, that's all happened, and aftermath is that he's been banned for 10 years. But there's been a lot of talk about this over the past few weeks, and we talked about this on the last podcast as well, with a couple other guys. But yeah, I do want to get your thoughts on this whole thing. Like, let's first start there's three things I want to get your views on. Do you think the slap was justified? And do you think the punishment of Will Smith getting banned for 10 years is too much or too little?
It was not justified at all. At all. Like, Will Smith, he was overcompensating. First off, he laughed at the joke because it was a lighthearted, corny joke. That's why there were groans in the audience. It was a corny joke. I don't think anyone necessarily there was thinking, oh man, she has alopecia, or however you pronounce it. That's terrible. Why would you say a joke like that? And first off, this is just based on an opinion, of course. I'm not saying it as a fact. It's not that damn serious. The whole,
Alopecia.
yeah, it's
Okay.
not that damn serious. It's not like a crippling disease or anything like
It's
that.
Yeah, it's hair loss. I mean, for those who might not know, but
Yeah,
alopecia is hair loss. It causes your hair to fall out in patches. Um, so yeah, that's why
and
she shaved that all together. So yeah, that's what it is.
exactly, and she was proud of it. Now, people were bringing up the fact that Chris Rock had made a documentary about a black girl's hair and how it's kind of funny that he got slapped now. But let me tell you, those people are the same people that are just uneducated. They just see something and they just want to attack. Because if they actually watched that documentary, they would know that he did that for his daughter, who was
Mhm,
self-conscious about her own hair. It was about educating people about,
mhm,
this the what black women go through to go ahead and take care of their hair, how much pride they take into it, and everything. His joke was simply, "You got a haircut. You should be GI Jane 2 or whatever." That's
right,
it. He
right.
didn't
Mm,
say, "Oh yeah, your hair falling out" or anything like that. He could have even went harder and did a better joke. He just thought it was a corny joke, and that's what he does. That's his job. The only reason why Will Smith went on there is because Will Smith is going through personal things, in my opinion, personal
mm,
things that is like a turmoil between him and Jada. Jada just comes off as this like callous partner to him. Like she is so like she gets on that goddamn red table or table talk, red table, whatever, and she says so much shit that like any average man would be pissed.
mm,
And we seen like small little cracks in Will Smith since then.
mm,
Like when Jada came out with that whole entanglement bullshit, everybody was clowning Will Smith. Everybody. And you gotta realize Will Smith has already been put up with bullshit before because he was a clean rapper for the most part. If you listen to his album Lost and Found, um, he talks about it. He talks about the marriage. He talks about how he struggled to go ahead and overcome um this idea, like the same treatment that people try to put on MC Hammer. And trust me, MC Hammer in real life is not that person to fuck with. MC
He's a
Hammer will go,
philosopher. I don't know if he
yo,
says tweets, but Emerson Hammer's a philosopher.
yeah. But at the same time, he's still a hood dude. Or at least he was. MC Hammer is not the one to fuck with. Uh Will Smith, however, let's to stay on topic, he overcompensated. He went up
Mm,
there. He saw like people want to go ahead and say, "Oh, he was protecting his wife, and that's so great. I wish a man would protect me." That's the thing. She even said herself that he shouldn't have went up there. That she doesn't need a man defending her. Like,
mm,
goddamn, he went through all of this, got banned for 10 years, and then you're gonna go ahead and say, "Oh, well, he didn't need to do that."
mm,
How about you just tell him that behind the doors, instead of going out in public saying that? How about you stopped him from going up there? Like Beyonce at least tried to stop Lil Mama from going on stage with Jay-Z and Alicia Keys, okay? How about you put some effort? And if the roles were reversed and Chris Rock made a joke on Will Smith, Jada would have laughed. And that would have been it. She wouldn't have gone on stage. She wouldn't have yelled or whatever. What Will Smith did was so stupid because it was pure emotion. Like I understand his reaction, but it was
mm,
pure emotion and it was just overcompensation. Um, he's dealing with a lot. It seems like that's what it looks like. Of course, these are assumptions. I can't say them as fact.
mm,
They're assumptions based on me seeing this man from when I was a kid on Fresh Prince, all those movies up until now, all those interviews and up until now. Like I am a big fan of Will Smith. Watched so many of his interviews. The only thing I didn't get yet was his book. And after
yeah,
this,
yeah,
yeah, you damn right I'm getting that book. But regardless of the matter, he's too
yeah.
old to be going.
Sorry.
Oof.
Oh, that was a bit harder than I thought. My bad. Sorry, guys. Oof. Yeah. So it's a little bit of a cold, but boy, that sneeze. That was a bit harder
As
than I
long
thought it
as
was
you're
coming.
okay.
No, I'm good. I'm good. Ugh.
But yeah, like he's at an age now where it's too late to be doing things like that. There are so
Mm,
many other ways that you could have handled it. You are a grown man, and not just that, you have millions of people watching you. And yeah, we could harp on the most obvious, like, oh man, our people had to go ahead and do that. But I'm not even gonna go that route because that's gonna start a whole different conversation.
Mm.
My thing is, as a grown man in your late 40s, early 50s, it's too late to be acting like that. We haven't seen that behavior way back in the day when you were Fresh Prince, Big Willie, all that. We haven't even seen any of that.
Mm.
The most we seen out of Will Smith getting out of line or something was when this prankster kissed him.
Oh
And
yeah, yeah,
I'm quite sure, yeah. And he slapped
yeah.
him. He didn't even slap him hard. He slapped Chris Rock harder.
Mm.
you know and I'm not gonna lie. I know it's been said already a million times, but I'm gonna say it again. Will Smith would not have gone up there if it was somebody like Dave Chappelle.
Mm.
He wouldn't
I
have done
think,
that.
yeah. I think, it's kind of hard to. Of course, we don't know for sure, but I feel like I understand why people are saying it because Chris Rock, 57-year-old skinny comedian, Dave Chappelle's a bit stockier, I think,
Hmm.
and I don't necessarily think Will Smith is the bully type, but yeah, I think sometimes when you have somebody who's maybe say a bit more physically domineering, that definitely causes a second thought. And that's more of a natural thing. When you see somebody who's much bigger than you think twice about hitting them. No matter
Yeah.
how emotional you are, you think twice about it. I'm not saying it would never happen. People hit people bigger than them all the time. It's not that it
Yeah.
doesn't happen. But I think there is definitely an element of when you're angry at somebody and you notice it's somebody that's like bigger than you, stronger than you, whatever it is, there's always the elements of, do I actually do this or not? Because nobody wants to get their ass kicked. Nobody. Not for your wife, not for nobody.
You damn right.
So would he have still have if it was Dave Chappelle or somebody else? Maybe, I guess we'll never know. But I definitely understand what people are saying that because yeah, Dave Chappelle he's a bit bigger. And to be honest, I think Dave Chappelle probably would have said something a lot worse. In all
Oh,
honesty, I think
definitely.
Dave
They can't
Chappelle's up
put
there,
Dave
he would have
Chappelle on
said
that
something a
stage.
lot worse.
No,
That
they
was
could never
light
put Dave
work.
Chappelle as
What
the host of the Oscars.
Chris Rock said, people talk about how it's an insult, it's a poor joke, it's a bad take. It was a light joke. It was about the lightest joke you can get.
Yeah.
You have it, like you said before, it's a haircut, resembles a character from G.I. Jane. Where's the insult in that? Where's the
He didn't even
insult?
know about the alopecia.
And even if he did, quite frankly, it's still a light joke. There is no insult, there's no ill intent. He referenced a character that I haven't seen the movie, but from what I understand, it's a pretty badass character. And honestly, Jada could probably play if they ever did like a G.I. Jane reboot. Jada could probably do that role pretty well. She's got the like martial arts background from when she did The Matrix. So I'm just saying, there could have been a movie producer out there going, "Hey, that's a good idea." Actually, naming it, I don't want to get slapped now. So you know what I mean? That's a movie
Yeah,
role
how do
taken
you
away.
approach that?
But so what do you think of the 10-year punishment? Do you think that was appropriate, or do you think that's too much or too little? Or what do you think?
It's sad because honestly, they didn't even have to go that route if they had played it the way they were supposed to play it. Um, they allowed Will Smith to stay there.
Mm,
They didn't even get up there. And the thing is, like, with Will Smith slapping Chris Rock, who was the damn host. You let this man get on, like, I get it. He got on stage. Everybody thought Will Smith was going to do something silly. That's why Chris Rock was laughing
mm,
because nobody expected that slap to happen. And even when they saw it, they didn't believe that was real. And even when he was cursing, they didn't believe it was real. It was so
mm.
out of the norm for him.
Yeah.
Now, 10 years, no, it's way too much. I feel like he should have been fined or something. Slap him hard on the wrist. Hell, slap him in the face. But 10 years, it doesn't. No, that's just dumb.
Mm,
Will Smith, he's still gonna win awards.
yeah.
He's
He just
still
can't be there.
like everybody's overreacting to this. And don't get me wrong, I feel like it's really, it's really fucked up what he did because as a man to be slapped in the face and then have to see that over and over and your kids seeing that, your family seeing that, everybody that talks to you now, they're going to be asking you about that. And yeah, we could go ahead and say the advantages for Chris. Oh man, you're going to make a shit ton of money off of this, which is true, but it's not worth getting slapped in the face like that. Like, that's the ultimate form of disrespect. Well, one of the ultimate forms of
Mm.
disrespect. There's worse ways.
You know, who's that comedian that talks about you don't slap a man in the face? I'm trying to remember now, but there was some comedian who said something about you don't slap a man in the face, and if when they did it, like you have a duel and somebody had to die afterwards. You did like a whole
Hmm.
bit about it. Oh man, I can't remember the name.
Damn, that sounds familiar.
But yeah, when you just talked about you don't slap a man in the face, it just reminded me of that. But I just can't remember who said it. But yeah, there was one comedian on one of his specials, like, yeah, you don't slap a man in the face. You know, like it's you just don't do it. And like even in the olden days when you slap a man in the face, so you had a duel afterwards, somebody gotta die. Oh
Yeah.
man.
Is it Eddie Griffin? I don't think so.
No, I don't think it was Eddie Griffin.
It might have been Jamie Foxx.
No, I don't think it
Hmm.
was Jamie Foxx.
Damn.
Oh man.
Because that does sound familiar, but then again, your mind plays tricks on you. Because
Yeah.
like I'm imagining somebody pulling out like a glove or something or pretending to.
But maybe D.L. Hewley? Possibly. I can't remember.
Nah, D.L. Hughley. One thing I gotta say about him, I didn't really like his comedy too much. He always did the whole, well, black people do it like this and white people do it like
Oh
that.
yeah.
And then at the end of his shows, he always starts cracking jokes on the audience. Man, that's why I don't go to comedy shows. I don't. No, I'm
Yeah.
not
Don't
for.
want to get
You
picked
get
on.
what I mean? I don't want to go ahead and pull Will Smith.
Yeah, if you know you're gonna slap somebody, stay your ass at home.
Exactly.
All
Stay
right.
out of the fire. Like, no,
All
that's
right.
not for me.
So yeah, I mean, I said I pretty much agree with what you just said. I feel like they had to do something in terms of punishment. I think 10 years is probably just too long. Maybe a fine probably been more appropriate or something like that.
Hmm.
Because you can't have people just slapping people on stage regardless of the reasons, whether justified or not, whether personal reasons or not, whatever. You can't have people just going slapping people on stage. And then I know a lot of people brought up things like, oh, they didn't do anything to Harvey Weinstein and all these other people. And yeah, but I think the key difference is that they didn't do their madness at the Oscars.
Yes,
Like,
thank you. I was
and
gonna say that. Like, you didn't see Harvey, groping a woman on stage while she's
right,
reading. And
and
the next
not
nominee.
not to justify it because yeah, what they did is disgusting and
Yeah,
absolutely
of
terrible.
course.
I'm not trying to say that,
I mean, he's
but
in prison
ultimately
now.
it wasn't at the Oscars, and the Oscars or the Academy rather, they're responsible for the things that happened at their show. So you could
Yeah.
and yeah, I know Chris Rock didn't want to press charges. That's fine. I think that's probably the best move on his part. But the Academy themselves, it's like, look, they're going to be inviting people to come. They need to offer some kind of safety, or at least let people know that it's just not a case of be slapping people when they're performing on stage or whatever. And they have to set some kind of precedent that says, if you do this, this is what can happen to you. So yeah, there needs to be some punishment.
Mhm.
But 10 years, I feel like that was probably not necessary. Like I said, I think a fine would have been much more appropriate. A good
Yeah.
fine, not like some cheap like £5 fine, but a good fine. And maybe the money goes into things like, I don't know, helps like a domestic violence charity, something like that. You know what I mean? But I think
Yeah.
that could have been more appropriate. But yeah, um,
And what made matters worse is that
oh,
they actually lied about it as well. They lied saying that Chris Rock asked them not to remove Will Smith and that
oh
they
right, yeah. They asked him to leave,
that
but he didn't want to
yeah,
leave. And was like, yeah, no, yeah.
they didn't
Just
even
trying to
try to
save
get him
skin,
out.
trying to save face.
Yeah.
They did
So that's
nothing.
why they
No
overreacted like that as well.
security. Not even one that security come for check him. Have you heard that song? Oh man, I don't even know the full song, but I just heard that bit going around on TikTok. Not even one security come for check him or something like that. I need to find what that song's called actually. But anyway. Um, but yeah, let's just move on to the next bit now because oh, that's the wrong button. 1 second. What did I just
Mhm.
press? There we go. There we go. So let's move to the next bit. Let's talk a little bit about streaming. Now, we said a few things about streaming platforms already, but let's talk about streaming a bit more broadly now. Now there's lots of different streaming services right now, from movie streaming to music streaming to video game streaming, and yeah, I feel like streaming is kind of like the next. Well, not even the next. It pretty much is the next big. Is pretty big now. I say in terms
Mhm.
of game streaming, I feel like it could become the next big thing. But certainly, as far as movies and music goes, it's pretty much a dominant way we consume that media. Um, and yeah, but there's definitely some pros and cons to it. Like we mentioned some already about the fact that you don't actually. I mean, to be fair, you technically never owned anything anyway. Like if you bought a CD back in the day, officially you never actually owned that music, but you know, because it was in your possession, you could do what you want with it. You could lend it to your friend. You could you know, burn it to your, rip it to your computer. You could, you know, whatever you did, and for the most part, there's no repercussions because nobody's gonna know. On a technical level, though, on a legal standpoint, if you actually read like those things that they put on the tiny print, you weren't really supposed to be doing those sorts of things on CDs anyway. But because of the way the platform was, you could, and it was not a big issue. Now, of course, with streaming, the publishers have a lot more control over how you handle the music. So, like you said before, if they want to take a song off an album, they can do that. If they want to remove, so if they want to change a song and edit it some way, they can do that. And because you don't have anything on your hard drive, there's not really much you can do about it. You pay to access the service. You don't pay to buy the album, or you don't pay to buy the movie. Well, unless you're buying the, you know, for Amazon, they sell you a movie on some of their streaming ones, which is another part of it as well. But for the most part, you're generally not buying the thing. You're just paying to access the service. And I think the pros to that are things like convenience, the fact that you can have your phone with you, you know, connect your Bluetooth to your car, which is what I do a lot of the time, and listen to just about anything I want to listen to at any time I want to listen to it. I only pay, you know, a small amount of money. Well, not quite small, but you know, you pay your amount of money per month for that, right? So the convenience factor is amazing, right? And same with movies. Like I found myself buying stuff on Amazon to stream, right? Even though I have it on DVD or Blu-ray, just because it's so much more convenient to just stream it on Amazon. You know, my DVD Blu-ray collection is not far from me, but for me to have to get up and dig through and find some movie where I can just be like, you know, it's only £5 on Amazon. I just buy it there, or not. Sometimes not even that much. Sometimes like because they're usually older movies, so sometimes only like £3, £4. So it's like, you know what, for the sake of £4. And it's just so much more convenient to just have it there. And yeah, I understand that there are some cons to that as well, but the convenience factor of it is amazing. And with games, I'm getting much more into game streaming now. I feel like I'm pretty big on game streaming now, ever since Game Pass. Since I got Game Pass, so they started doing their streaming service. Because the idea of never having to buy a console is amazing to me. Like the fact that I don't have to, I mean, I've got an Xbox One now, but I don't have to buy an Xbox Series X. I can still play the games. I don't have to buy a super high-end PC. I just need something decent. Even my phone, I could stream games to my mobile phone. I'd be in my car, you know, playing games on the, like high-end games on my phone. That's incredible to me. You know, so the convenience factor of these things, and like I was saying before, it plays so smooth on my phone. Even when the internet isn't necessarily too great, I still get a pretty smooth connection. I don't know what magic they use to do it, but I'm still getting a pretty smooth gameplay on my phone. So yeah, the convenience factor is incredible, and I feel like that for me outweighs all the cons to it. And some of the cons being that, yeah, you don't have that much control. Certain things change, and a lot of it is for the better because they fix bugs or they do this. But yeah, if a song gets removed, if a movie gets removed, if they lose their license to distribute this, you have to sign to this platform instead of that platform, or this, and you could end up spending a lot of different money. Especially now, you got Netflix, you got Amazon, you got in America, you guys got Hulu and HBO Max. Over here, we have what's it called, Now TV, and some other ones I can't remember right now. But there's so many different ones that, I mean, I know you generally not one. I know generally speaking, one person doesn't have all those services, but it can still stack up even if you're picking like 3 or 4 of those. You know, so you could end up paying something like £50-60 a month, maybe even more. You know, so yeah, those are some of my thoughts on streaming services. What are some of yours? Boy, my throat is hurting. Sorry.
I hope you got water.
Yeah, I'd have some a little bit.
Yeah. For me, I get frustrated that like so much is scattered. I'm really frustrated with Netflix. I actually thought about going back to them. The whole reason why I canceled on them was because of course, like at that time, the price wasn't as high as it is now, and there's so much on there, but it was not. It was too much. It seems like it was quantity over quality, in my opinion. So I felt like my money was being wasted. So I just canceled at the time. So when I thought about going back, I looked at the prices and I saw not only was it higher, but they're talking about that it may go even higher than that.
Mm.
And I'm like, no, Netflix is not worth that. Like, you guys need to relax, calm down. And now they're talking about if you have your if you share your password, you can get the account banned or something like that, which is
Mm.
stupid. Because that's just showing money hungriness. And I get some people will go ahead and be like, well, you shouldn't be sharing it anyway. But there's how do you know that you're actually sharing it? Is it like, okay, you're in a different state using Netflix or something? If it's my account and I decide to let someone use my account, then that's fine. Like, for
Mm.
example, I have HBO Max. I love HBO Max. It has shows that I watched already, but I still want to rewatch them. Like, I'm rewatching Curb Your Enthusiasm right now. I got
Mm.
to watch Euphoria. Um, I'm watching all the DC movies and everything. I'm finally watching Young Justice again because they went away after the first two seasons. They stopped in 2013 and then they started again 2019. I didn't know that shit. So I was excited to see that. I love the DC animated movies. Batman's coming to HBO Max April 18th. HBO Max is the shit. Anyway, I just wanted to get that out of the way. Um, Netflix, they have the Kanye West documentaries. That's one thing definitely want to see. But is it worth the price? No, I'm not going to go ahead and pay 15 plus dollars, and even more so. And then also, you're telling me that I can't go ahead and let someone use my account. I'm
Mm.
not sharing it with everybody, but if I'm letting somebody use my account, then that's my right. That's like
So,
letting somebody use my phone. That's like if Apple restricted you and said, no, you can't let someone use your iPhone just so they
so
could go ahead and sell another iPhone.
yeah.
No.
So let me ask you this, because this might be one of the differences between the UK version and the US version. So in the UK version, you have profiles, and to be fair, that one with the profiles, I think you do pay extra for it, but I imagine it's similar with different ones anyway. But you have so the one that we have is like a family pack, and so it has like I think like 5 profiles. So I got one, and my brothers, and they all get their own profile. And what that means is that I can watch whatever I want on Netflix at the same time as they're watching it on Netflix, as long as they're using their own profile. Now, what I assume that meant is that if somebody tried to use my profile while I was using my profile, it probably wouldn't let them use it. So, like, the way, so here's the thing, like, if you let somebody use your password and
Mhm.
you've just got like the regular one profile account, then shouldn't it just mean that while they're watching whatever on Netflix on your profile with your password, you can't watch it? It just means you just watch things at different times. You know what I mean? Like, or they actually saying you just can't share your password regardless of who's watching it at different times, or what?
From my understanding, it's the latter, where it doesn't matter if it's on one profile or not. Because originally, if I'm not mistaken, like if you were trying to, like, I do remember they had it to where, in the plans, they'll specifically say, okay, only one person can watch at a time versus two people could watch or whatever, however it was stated. Um, and if you were trying to watch Netflix while somebody else was watching Netflix and you only had that singular plan, it just wouldn't work or it would kick
Mm,
the person off or something like that. I can't remember. It was a long time ago.
mm,
But that's fine. Having it like that, that's fine. But if you're talking about where you can't go ahead and share accounts because the IP address or some shit like that they track, that's too much. And it's
yeah, I mean that
you
sounds
know,
like a piss take, to be honest.
yeah, you're digging into privacy. Like, just keep your mouth shut, put the damn shows on the stream, and go ahead and take the money. Because regardless of what, as long as Netflix doesn't do things that turn people away, then
Mm,
they're going to make money. If they're having any money issues, it's because they're too focused on throwing money at any little fucking thing just to have content. And again,
no.
that's why they have quantity over, I mean, yeah, quantity over quality. When I'm looking at shows and movies on Netflix, usually I'm not finding something interesting on the average. It's like I have to dig through a bunch of shit to find something really good. Like Mother is good.
Mm.
Um what's that other movie with the android? Crap. I can't even remember off the top of my head, but they had this really good movie that was based on this android. If she could pass the, I forgot what it's called, the test where you can make a human believe that you're human. It's a really interesting movie. If I remember that, I'm gonna definitely let you know about it.
Yeah, I don't think I saw that.
But Netflix is making, it's funny. They're making moves out of greed, most likely.
Mm.
And this is not the time to do it because there are other streaming platforms that are just waiting for a moment to creep up. And for me personally, HBO Max is that one that has the potential to, not really blow Netflix out of the park, but really be a top contender. It's similar to wrestling, right? I don't watch wrestling anymore, but I do keep up to date with a little bit.
Hmm.
It's like AEW, WWE like 5 years ago would go ahead and be like, what the fuck is that?
Right. Now
Nowadays,
it's
they're
like,
like,
pay attention.
ugh, yeah.
You pay
It's like
attention to
when your little
AEW.
brother starts working out. Yeah, hold on.
Right.
Shit, now I gotta hit the gym. You get what I mean? And that's what HBO Max I feel like is doing. And it's not just HBO Max. There are other shit like Hulu. Hulu is one of those people that's sitting in the back. They're getting stronger and they're not making a big deal out of it. They're keeping their mouth shut. They're getting good shows. They're like, yeah, let's show this. Let's show that. Peacock is sneaking around, of course, with Bel-Air. And
Mm.
those bastards. I will never forgive them for taking The Office, but it was a good, smart move. And I'm quite sure there are other shows that I would like to watch on there. But me personally, I would not get a Peacock and keep it, beyond that. I just really wanted to see
Yeah,
Bel-Air.
get it for the month. Yeah.
Yeah. So, and Peacock doesn't even let you have a free trial anymore.
Mm. I think it's going to be like that going forward with as more and more streaming platforms come up. You're going to find
Mhm.
people get it for 1 month and then cancel it, and then later down the line get it for another month if there's other things they want to watch or whatever. I feel that's probably going to be the best way going forward. But you mentioned Peacock and HBO Max and Hulu, so we don't have those in the UK, but we do have a service called Now TV. And as far as I can tell, I think they have deals with HBO Max and Peacock and Hulu because some of the shows that get shown on there, if we get them in the UK, they most likely end up on Now TV.
Mm.
So I think that's why I'm assuming they have some kind of deal with like Bel-Air, for example, and the DC movies like Justice League. They were all on Now TV. Now here's the thing about
Mhm.
Now TV. Now TV is where you'd go to if you're really into like the big budget movies because they tend to get the big movies quicker. So before Netflix, before Amazon, all that stuff, they'll most likely go to Now TV first, and that's because they're run by Sky, and Sky is a massive TV broadcaster in the UK. I think it's part of the Fox network as well, so it's part of a
Yeah,
huge
I
company.
definitely heard of Sky TV, and I'm, you know where I'm at.
Right. So yeah, they're huge. And part of that means that they're able to like strike all these deals with these big, distributors for movies and stuff like that. And that's cool. Here's the problem with Now TV that I find. It's $9.99 a month, right? And that in itself
Mhm.
is not a problem. But the content on it, unless you are really into nothing but the big blockbusters, you're not going to find much to watch. There's a few movies here and there, and then outside it, I mean, they've got lots of choice, but in terms of like, unless you're really into that, there's not a lot of choice. Like for me, I could pick maybe 3, 4 movies that I'd like, and then the rest of it I really don't care about. I've either seen them before, or I just don't care for them. There may be big movies from the olden days, or stuff like that, or even some more recent movies that are just come to cinema, but I just don't care to watch it. I'm certainly not enough to keep paying the $9.99 per month for. So yeah, it's the type of thing that I would get once in a while. I get it for that 1 month, like I did, and then cancel it. The other
Yeah.
piss take about Now TV is that $9.99 per month is just for the movies. So if you want to watch the TV shows like Bel-Air and Peacemaker and other stuff, that's another $9.99 a month. Okay, so it's on top of that. And if you want to watch the sports, that's like 30 something pounds. This is ridiculous. It's
That's
crazy
crazy.
if you want to get sports. So it could get real expensive real quick if you're trying to do it all. If you're that guy who's into everything, it's a lot of money. But here's the third piss take. Even after all of that, they still show you adverts. they
boy.
still show you adverts. So if you want to have it without adverts, it's the additional £5 a month. So yeah, it is an absolute piss take.
I do not like that shit because it inspires other streaming platforms to do that. That's one of the things that one of the reasons why I didn't get into Hulu. I could be wrong, but from when I had a free trial for Hulu, of course, this is probably because it was a free trial. But when I had the free trial, they were like, "Oh, you get 7 days of premium for free" or some shit like that. And when I had it, I still saw commercials, and I'm like, "What the hell?" And
Yeah.
so I said, "Okay, I'm not gonna stick with this." But Hulu is good. There are a couple shows that I caught other people watching, and
Mm.
I was like, "Oh, I didn't know this shit was on here." I thought Hulu was all about let's show sitcoms and all that. I didn't know that they would show some graphic shit. So Hulu is, yeah, like I said, it's one of those solid contenders there. That's definitely a contender.
Mm.
But all that sneaky, additional charges and everything, I hate that crap.
Yeah.
Just be straightforward with your customers, and they will remain loyal as long as you're providing content that they're into, they'll remain loyal. Like
Yeah.
me, I'm sticking with HBO Max. I love HBO Max. I'm sorry to keep harping on it, but really,
Hey, if it's
like,
good, it's good. It's good.
it's good. They have so much shit that I actually want to watch on there. I even watch short films on there. I watched the damn short film, and it was a good short film. They had this show called, like, I mean, not the show, this movie called Hello, Thank You, or something like that. Or no, Please Hold. Please Hold. And it's a
Okay.
short ass film that's just this guy, he's almost in like a kind of futuristic kind of setting, but still not futuristic, like futuristic in the sense of like drones are in place of police officers now.
Mm.
And one day he just gets arrested. He doesn't know why. And that's just the premise of it. I mean, that movie had me hooked. And it was a short film. And it made me want to go ahead and watch more short films on there. HBO Max does things right. And I want to see more streaming platforms do things like that. I do feel apprehensive about, going to other platforms just because of a certain show like Paramount Plus. Uh, they kind of baited people with the South Park specials, the COVID specials. It was like a three-parter. They
Okay.
came out spread out, and you cannot find that shit on Comedy Central. Comedy Central will not show it because Paramount bought those rights exclusively. So a lot of people went to Paramount Plus just for that, for South Park. And then Paramount Plus was trying to keep you with other shows. I know they came out with Halo, and that's a whole. I didn't even watch it, so I can't even fairly say. But
Yeah.
based on what I
We
heard,
don't even have that over here yet.
not my thing.
It's
Oh,
probably going to be
okay,
on Now
okay.
TV though, I'm sure. I'm probably sure I'll get at some point.
So yeah, I mean, I just want to see more people do things like HBO Max. Just be
Mm.
honest, be straightforward, have a fair
Yeah.
price, have quality over quantity.
So speaking
Oh,
of
Disney Plus is a good one. I'm
oh
sorry
yeah,
that I didn't mention
yeah.
that.
Oh no, no, that's. I mean, Disney Plus is one of my mainstays. So the ones I keep regular are Disney Plus, Netflix. Well, to be fair, Netflix is like I say, I have that with the family, so that's
Mhm.
yeah, that's just this just stays anyway. And the ones I keep regular that I pay for myself, well, fully pay for myself, I should say rather, is Disney Plus, and Prime, Amazon Prime. Um, then occasionally get the Now TV and I have Xbox Cloud Game Pass. So I've got that. But speaking of potential, you mentioned I was that Hulu has a lot of potential. The streaming platform that I think has a lot of potential to do real big things. It was a gamer streaming platform. This is Stadia. So Google Stadia, I think I mean right now it's okay, but I think like if they move more into a market of rather than trying to be a subscription service, less of a subscription service, and more of a market where you can just buy the games for a
Mhm.
reasonable price because keep it reasonable. But if they did something like that, where it's like say the streaming version of something like Steam, I feel like Stadia has a massive potential to do big things. And speaking of potential again in gaming, if Steam ever switched to a streaming platform, and I'm sure it's not even that hard for them to do because they've already got everything on their server anyway, but if they ever just switch that button, that means you can stream the games rather than downloading them. I feel like they can absolutely dominate the game streaming market, because they've already got so much on there already.
Mm-hmm.
It's just a question of a few lines of code, or maybe it's more than that. I don't know. It's probably more complicated than that, to be fair. But whatever they need to do to take their downloads to have a stream option as well. If they ever did that, I feel like they could be massive. But there is, like I said, there are cons when it comes to streaming, and one of them is things like lag, which doesn't affect. It's not so much bad on games, sorry, not so bad on like on the movies or the music, because once it starts streaming, you're going anyway. Sometimes when it lags with games, though, of course, that could be an issue, especially if you play professionally. So I feel like people who play on that kind of level might want to hold off on it just for now. But outside of that, for most people, streaming games, streaming movies, streaming music, I feel like that's where it's at, because it's just so convenient.
Yeah. Like you could just, for example, like there are some games that I wanted to just try, and I didn't want to sit there and download I'm telling you, sitting there and download an entire game.
Yeah.
Even if I got fast internet, and
Still
knock on wood that it doesn't, it still takes a while. Yeah. And then you have to have the size for it. Like you have to have enough storage.
Make it have the right graphics card, the processors, and all that.
Exactly.
Memory.
So I'd rather just go ahead, load it up, and then if it's really good, I'm gonna download. I'm gonna download it and play it. So yeah, I really hope that this is just the first step. I'm pretty sure it is. And that whole idea of like Steam doing that would be mind blowing. People would lose their shit. But if they do it, only do it when you're ready. There's no rush. Steam is already on a high mountain. There's no rush. These guys are already doing incredible. I don't even I have a gaming laptop now. I don't really use my gaming laptop for games or whatever. I just wanted a laptop and have the option to play games or whatever, because when I was streaming, I just like to have the option. But I don't really use my laptop for gaming. I'm still a console player at heart. So but I had Steam. I had Steam for the longest. Yeah. Convenient as hell.
Yeah.
And that's the thing. Like streaming games, I just hope nobody does anything dirty, any dirty tactics. Let's just keep it clean. Game Pass is showing you the way how to do it.
Yeah.
Game Pass is incredible. Again, I'm not trying to play favorites, but these things are good. HBO Max, Disney Plus.
Oh, it's when it's good, it's good, right? Game Pass, I feel, does it right. I mean, right now, that's the one that I've kept the longest. Because even if I don't always play it that much every single month, I like that it's there. And just the fact that I've gotten so much out of it already, I don't feel too bad if there's a 1 month where I don't play it so much, So I know that's not everybody can do that, but that's kind of how I feel about it. So it's fine that I have it, and I play some of the indie games from time to time. I play some of the bigger games from time to time. There's just so much choice. And now that I've got the streaming bit on it as well, like I said, I could be out in the car somewhere, get my phone out. I've got the control pad, Bluetooth to the phone. It's convenience, man. Convenience is king.
Yeah.
Convenience is king.
And I haven't even played it on my phone yet. But now that you mention it, like, because the only thing that kept me back was that I didn't think it was possible. Really, that would be a waste of time. But you're telling me that it's possible or whatever.
You know what?
That blew my mind.
Here's what I would say, and just not get your hopes up too much. I know it is streaming, and the hardware isn't supposed to matter that much. But in all honesty, in my experience, I think the hardware does matter to at least some degree, because my previous phone, it did not work that well on at all. My desktop PC, when I stream games to it through Xbox, it plays, but it does jitter every now and then. That's lag every now and then. When I play, when I stream to my laptop, it runs super smooth on my laptop. And when I stream on my phone, again, super smooth. And even with the same internet connection that I've used on all of them. So I don't know whether it's something to do with the way it processes video or some technical thing like that. I don't know. But yeah, I think the hardware does matter to at least some degree. I don't think you need like the latest and greatest super high-end phone or anything. You probably don't need that. But yeah, you probably I don't know what phone you have, to be fair, but you probably need something at least semi decent that can handle.
Yeah, kind of up there.
I'm assuming, because I really don't know what the issue is. I've tried to find out. I really don't know what the issue is, but I'm assuming it's something to do with the way way different devices process video. That's the only thing I could think of. But maybe it's something else that causes it to run really smooth on one system, but not so great on the other system. But at least what I do know is that it's not just the internet connection that matters. Something about the device you play on matters as well.
Yeah, I believe so, because like even to hear that they're working on that, it's not shocking, but it did, surprise me that it's here already. It's one of those things where it's like I'm waiting for it to come, but it's already here and I didn't know. Now I feel like, what the fuck? I feel old not paying attention to things that's going on. But I did actually catch one of your streams where you were streaming it
yeah, that's right. Yeah.
on your PC. And
Yes.
I didn't even know.
Yeah, that
until
was
you said something.
yeah, I was streaming. That was I hooked my stream to my laptop. And then got the laptop to the stream. Yeah, but yeah, I don't know what you're talking about. But yes, yeah, that was a stream. And yeah, you saw how good it looked. Still looked like just like it was running natively. But yeah, the stream is that good. The stream is that good. Oh, that's something on my mind, and I just kind of forgot. That doesn't matter. It wasn't that important. But what was it? Something was on my mind. Damn it. Oh well. Anyway, it matters not. I'm sure it probably doesn't matter too much. I don't think. Hopefully, that doesn't matter too much.
It might come back.
Yeah. But yeah, no, I'm definitely all in on well, not all in, but I'm pretty much big in on streaming. That being said, there are definitely some issues I think they have that pricing is definitely one of them, because sometimes you look at the prices of stuff and it's like you are taking the piss with that price, like, especially when it comes to buying stuff. Like there's no good reason why buying something to stream should be the same price as buying something to as a physical disc. There's no good reason for that. Like it's you are actually just taking the piss. And I get they need to make their money. They need to pay for service. I understand all of that. I'm not trying to tell nobody they can't make money. Of course they need to make money. Stadia needs to make money. The publishers need to make money. Developers everybody needs to make their money. I'm fine with that. But there's no way you could tell me that it's £50 to stream and £50, or even sometimes it's less to buy as a disc. Something's not right. Something's not right. There's no way it should cost the same or more to buy a game to stream than it does to buy a game to as a physical copy. That doesn't make sense. So I do feel like they should be taken. I mean, I guess the thinking behind it is that right now they don't have a lot of competition, so they feel like they can pretty much charge what they want. If you want to stream it, you have to get it from here, type thing. The only other option is to buy it on disc, and there's lots of good reasons why you might not want to buy it on disc, like the convenience of having to play it in different places. So if you want that, you got to pay that premium. So I guess I understand that business mindset to it, but even still, you could still be cheaper than that, and I'm sure they could still make money and still have a reason for people to probably even have more of a reason to buy it through their platforms, rather than doing these ridiculous prices that they come up with. So recommended retail prices that they come up with, it's like, no, you don't need to be charging that much. Come on, man.
Yeah. I just, it's like, I get that companies, their purpose, make money, but there are smarter ways. Like, you got to think about the long game. If you keep things basic, the way how everything is working fine, people are barely complaining, you're going to pull in money. If you're losing money, you're doing something wrong. And what you're doing wrong is not charging more money. It's something else that you could go ahead and easily find out from your fan base. Ask them, do surveys, find out what's going on. It's not that they're not giving you more money. I mean, it's just common sense. I don't own a business or anything, but it's just common sense.
Indeed.
If I'm wrong, then I'm wrong. But I don't see otherwise.
Right. I believe you're right. When it comes to business, the business needs to make money, and the way to make money is to provide something that people want to buy. And the way to do that is to, I mean, sure, you can't be too cheap, of course, but then being too expensive is not a good idea either. So yeah, and right now I feel like some of those games, when I look at the Stadia prices, they're just way too expensive. The only reason why I bought Far Cry is because I got a discount. That was it. They gave me a discount on that one. I was like, all right, calm. I wanted to get uh Cyberpunk actually, because when I first looked at it, Cyberpunk was 25 quid, and I thought with a discount I could get it for 15. But then by the time I went to buy it, Cyberpunk went up to £50. So I was like, nah, I ain't spending £40 in this game. Allow that. So I went Far Cry 6. So that was like, I think that was 30, and then they discounted it down to 20. So okay, it's not too bad. That's not too bad. But yeah, other than that, I would not be paying. It's ridiculous. You know, it's ridiculous.
You know, it's funny because like I didn't even know Stadia was still a thing really, because they had a controversy. It feels like years ago now, where I think it was the director or something. He said some shit about streaming, like, oh, people shouldn't be able to stream our games or something like that, or stream games.
That's a whole platform.
And I was like, what the fuck? Like he's talking about like, you know, Twitch streaming and all that. Which it's like,
oh right, I see.
Yeah, you remember that? Or
no, but I see what you mean by streaming, right?
Yeah, he means people shouldn't be allowed to stream their games on platforms. And I was like, that, you know, after that, I was like, I mean, a lot of people were in an uproar.
Yeah, that's
some people try to defend it. It was just fucking stupid.
I'm not sure how they'd be able to tell, though, to be honest with you. I'm not sure how they'd be able to tell. Because once you've got it streamed, it's full screen. It looks like a regular game. Unless there's nothing that you input that says Stadia. So it's like, whatever. You just input the game that you're playing on Twitch. So they're not going to know whether you're playing off your console, off your PC, or whatever. So it seems like a pointless thing to argue.
If I remember correctly, I could be mistaken, but he meant like streaming period should not be allowed. Like on any console, PC, any of that.
Well, then he's definitely being dumb.
Yeah. I'm thinking like, you know how many fucking games I actually got into because I saw it streamed or I saw it on YouTube? Like, it's free promotion. That's why the whole DMCA thing that was happening on Twitch and still kind of happening now, is fucking stupid. It's just a bunch of old people that are not in touch with what's going on, what's actually going on. They're just they got too much on their hands. They don't have time to actually look online and see themselves. Because for music, there's a bunch of music, there's a bunch of songs that I never would have gotten. I mean, look at TikTok. You know how many songs rose up out of nowhere, even dumb as
you want to bump dumb. You want to cheat with the big boys? Yeah,
like that shit. I know the original. I know Amino by Era. That's where it came from. I didn't, but when I heard that fucking remix, I was like, this shit is stupid. And I kept hearing it, and now I'm hooked. Now I want to. Now when I hear that song, I think about the fucking shit that I hear on TikTok and YouTube Shorts instead of the original, like I was hearing. So now I'm a grumpy old man listening to this song.
Hey, times are changing, and some of these old folks, these old god people, aren't changing with it. So yeah, that definitely needs to get with the times. You know?
Yeah, it's ridiculous.
Yeah, I mean, clearly it's here to stay. You know, it's here, pretty much. It's here. So it's like,
damn right.
Learn to live with
They're
it.
traumatized off of the piracy that was, piracy used to be big back in the day, like early 2000s and all that. Piracy was insane. I'm not gonna lie. Back when I was younger, I used to download whole discographies. I mispronounced that. Sorry, discographies of artists. Like some of my favorite artists, like Breaking Benjamin, Mindless Self-Indulgence, and forgive me, celebrities. I'm sorry, but I love your music too much. I just couldn't put that much money in.
Well, I hope you made up for it now.
Yeah. Shit, I had a bunch of bills on my
all those artists on the repeat.
Definitely. Shit. Tech Nine.
Oh yeah.
Oh, you know how much music Tech Nine got? Like MGMT, boy, Daft Punk. Piracy was easy, simple.
Yeah, it was like Napster days, isn't it?
Convenient. Yeah, I'm talking about Pirate
Napster,
Bay.
LimeWire, Pirate Bay.
Oh yeah, LimeWire.
That was low.
Frostwire.
Bear Drop or Bear something. Bear Share.
Bear Share, yeah. And it was to the point where even when you would get a song, like a singular song, and then you'll get that stupid ass advertisement. It's a guy doing a terrible Bill Clinton impersonation. He's like, "Oh, I forgot what the fuck he said." He's like, "Oh, I don't really know about um not getting blowjobs or something, some shit, but I do know that you could save money by doing this." And I'm like, "Man, fuck off. Give me the song." But anyway, main point. Back then, piracy was easy.
Yeah.
Nowadays, no. And most of the time, we don't even want to pirate songs. Just put if you put the song on Spotify, we will listen to it. If you put it on Apple Music, we will listen to it because it's more easier. I don't
Mm.
want to have to download shit and it's not at that high quality. Like for example, last night I remembered a song that I haven't heard in years by Warren G. Don't The Game Don't Wait. Now there's a specific version that I wanted to hear, and it wasn't available on Spotify. So, what does a person like me have an option to? Do you give me a better option? No. So, what else am I going to do? That's the problem with piracy. If you give people an easier option, they will go with the easier option, even if they
Yeah.
have to pay money. But
Convenience.
if
Yeah.
you over exactly, that's the primary thing that they need to focus on. But they don't. They just go ahead and they do shit, and then they go ahead and overcompensate, like doing takedowns. You're working
Mm.
against yourself. You could be making way more money.
You know what? I think I'll have to get you back on one time and talk more about piracy because that could be a deep subject as well. Um,
Definitely.
but for now, I think we should move on to the final subject, the one we've all been waiting
Oh
for.
boy.
And so, yeah, we're going to talk about Bel Air, which is
I
the
cannot wait.
TV show or a streaming show, really, I guess, that is based a dramatized version of the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air from the 90s.
Hmm.
Um, I'm just going to start with a quick spoiler-free review opinions. I'll let you know when the spoilers are coming because we're going to be talking about the show in some detail, but I'll let you know when that's coming. But for now, my very basic spoiler-free review would be that I enjoyed the show very much. I think it's definitely worth watching, even if you're not that familiar with the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. I do think there's things. I mean, if I was the guy making the decisions, there's definitely things I would have done differently. That being said, I appreciate the choices that they make, and I think it's still, ultimately was still a really good, compelling show. So,
Hmm.
nothing I could really fault it on badly. Just minor nitpicks, I guess. Um, and I liked what they did with the characters. I think the dramatized version of the characters made a lot of sense in this modern world. I think how they portrayed them, how they acted. I like the callbacks to the original as well because they, for the most part, didn't feel like they were. There was one that felt a bit forced, but for the most part,
Yeah,
it felt natural to the show.
I think I know
Um,
which one you're talking about too.
yeah, we'll cover that in a bit then. But for the most part, I felt they were kind of natural to the show and what they were doing. And yeah, just some of the characters, not even some of the characters, all the characters I just felt were amazing. I thought they were brilliant. I felt like they really created a strong family. And what by strong, I don't mean strong, they get everything right, but strong as in, they have purpose, but they also have flaws and weaknesses. And you see how it all kind of plays out across the show. So, definitely recommend this show as my spoiler-free review. Mr. Sweet Bundy, as a basic spoiler-free review before we get into the main stuff, what would you like to say about it?
I say the show is great. The acting is really like high level at times, especially with the um, Jabari Banks. If I,
Yeah.
the guy who plays Will Smith, he's incredible. This guy, and he's
Mm,
young. He's really young. He's going to like. He has the potential. I hope he
mm,
doesn't get typecast or just stuck with this show because that's one of the issues. I really want to see this guy get more work. He is so good at what he does. He can go ahead and do different moods and his there are times where like I really feel like I'm watching Fresh Prince again. And I know that's kind of cliche to say, but really think about it. Like
mm,
there his mannerisms, the way how he delivers lines, his voice is very reminiscent of a young Will Smith.
mm,
And beyond that, his acting, like I gotta keep saying, like his acting is so good. All doubt that you have about this show is, I say is warranted because we've been burnt so many times by previous reboots, but this is not a cheap cash cow reboot. This is something that was done out of passion, and it's, full of talent. And if you really enjoy seeing like black actors, black excellence, for example, this is the show. This is the show to check out. Now, of course, it's not without flaws. There are things like I feel like they have plot points they just drop off or they resolve a little too quickly. But again, this season is only 10 episodes. And I feel like they wanted to give you an idea of what they can do. And then season two, they'll clean up the mess. They'll go ahead and do better and improve. But that's not to say that this is going to go ahead and turn you off. It's not a mind-blowing show, of course, but is it good? Hell yeah. There are so many references. If you watch the original or grew up on the original like me, you will notice the subtle references. It will make you want to go back and watch the show to see what you miss or what you don't remember, because they have little things that if you don't recall, it will go over your head. It's nothing all in your face except that one thing, in my opinion. We'll mention it later. It's only one scene that really was in your face, like all in your face, like, hey, remember this? Remember that? It was like, oh, okay, I get it. Chill. So yeah, I love the actors. The actors are great. The woman who plays Aunt Viv,
Yeah.
is really, really interesting. Her voice is so reminiscent of the original Aunt Viv, like the original, like the dark skin one, is very reminiscent. And there are times where I was feeling like, is she doing this voice on purpose, or is she, it's almost like having a dub over her voice at times. But no, it's her real voice, and she's great. Will's mom, she's good. A little too dramatic in my opinion. Um, yeah, I mean, overall, my biggest complaint is just the season finale could have been a little tighter. And as far as storylines go, I wish they wouldn't drop things off so quickly. I hope in season two they go back to it.
Yeah.
But I feel like you'll get this real, like, almost every episode ends with something that makes you go like, I have to see that next episode. I have to see it right now. But then when you get to the next episode, it's like, okay, I'm over it. Like literally, there was once I'm not gonna spoil it right now, but there was one scene where a character they freaked out at the end of one episode, and I'm like, holy shit, they're gonna go off the next episode. Oh my god. I'm just like, I have to watch it. I already watched 3 episodes. I gotta watch another one. Fuck it. I put it on, and then the scene opens up and he's like, I'm over it. What? There are too many instances like that, but it's a good show. I really want people to watch this. I want this show to succeed. It has so much potential to be something more. Hillary is great. The actress. I'm sorry that I'm not mentioning the actor's name.
Coco Jones.
Oh,
so I've got it on screen. It's all good.
She is. Oh my god, she is so much fun. I mean, it's beyond her beauty. You get what I mean? Like, let's get the obvious out the way. She is beautiful. 10 out of 10, gorgeous, beautiful. Oh my god. Right? Let's get that out of the way. Beyond that, her acting is good. Her energy is good. She is reminiscent of the original Hillary, but a more intelligent version. Whereas the original Hillary, not to say that she was dumb, but she played it off for goofs. That she was lightheaded.
That was the character.
Exactly.
Like the sort of Valley Goofy. Girl type airhead a little bit. So yeah,
you hit the nail on the head. Perfect. Valley girl, yeah. Whereas this girl, she seems preppy, but she's smart. She's educated. She's clever, and her and her mother clash, and the arguments are so.
Okay, let's not give too much away just yet. All right. Okay, so before we get into spoilers, let me just say this real quick. Would you believe that Jabari Banks, the guy who played Will Smith in the show, Jabari Banks, would you believe that this is actually his first professional credit?
That makes me feel so damn happy. Like that shows you that he's only at the very beginning of what he can become. This guy is great. like that's one thing I want people to take away from this, regardless of whether or not you like the show. Pay attention to this guy's acting.
Yeah, he is
Like this
incredible. He
guy,
really is.
yeah, I'm serious. Like there are times where, like even talking right now, I feel emotion in my chest. Like I'm not over exaggerating. This guy really knows how to act. There are actors that they get it down to them, their body motions, their eyes. Film started off without sound, and it was just imagery, right?
Mm,
This guy, really took that to his core, and he delivered
yeah.
time and time again. There's not one episode where I was like, "Oh, that's bad acting." No, this guy knows how to act. Um, I want to see him in more stuff. I want to see him blossom. I hope that he's not just stuck with this role. I want to see him go full five. I want to see the show full 5 seasons, full
Mm,
5. I want to see it go through a whole transformation, just like the original Fresh Prince, right? I want it to have his own journey, but I want to see the growth and everything over that time. However, with that said, I want to see this guy in more stuff. Do not typecast him. Do not limit him.
mhm.
Allow him to be in so many roles and be diverse in everything. This guy is incredible. There are actors where you see them and you're like, I want the best for them. That's why I was mentioning Zendaya. I want to see the best for her. These are actors that need to be in movies, that need to be in shows. Give them that
Mm,
freedom, give them that opportunity, please.
indeed. All right then. So that's the spoiler-free section done. So this is your spoiler warning. If you've not seen Bel-Air, you might want to watch that and come back to this podcast at this section. There'll be time links in the description, by the way, so you can find this section easy enough. Or if you just don't care for spoilers, then by all means continue to listen. But yeah, we are going to go a little bit deeper now. So before I get into some of the main stuff, I want to say let's say if we were thinking about the same scene. So the bit that I felt was a little bit forced. It's actually a small bit, to be fair, but it stuck out to me. And it was a bit when Phil got the tickets for, was it D-Rocks or the rapper D-Rocks or something like that? He got like Carlton and Will the tickets to go see this rapper, and they get there. Not Carlton, Will, sorry, Will and his friend
Trey.
Trey, sorry. They went to see his rapper. And when they get there, and Trey's all like, oh my god, it's D-Rocks, it's D-Rocks. And he's all freaking out, like starstruck. And then the rapper D-Rocks, I can't remember if his name was D-Rocks, by the way, it was D something. But anyway, the rapper says, oh, you must be Uncle Phil. Now, I understand why he says Uncle Phil, because that's how we've kind of come to refer to him, as Uncle Phil. But I just felt like it made no sense for that show to be, for in this circumstance, for this rapper to refer to him as Uncle Phil. He doesn't know him like that. You know what I mean? Uncle Phil was the guy that got the tickets. If it was like Will got the tickets and said, I was getting them for my Uncle Phil, then I'd understand a bit more. But since Uncle Phil got the tickets, he's not calling himself Uncle Phil. He said, I'm Philip Banks. So he should, you know what I mean? It's, as I said, it's a small part. It's a very small, insignificant part. But it just stood out to me as there was no reason for him to refer to him as Uncle Phil. It would be just Philip or Phil or Mr. Banks, you know? So that was a bit that I was thinking, felt a bit forced. What was the bit that you were thinking?
I'm not gonna lie, that went over my head. I don't even remember that. Remember him calling him Uncle Phil, but that would have, if I had paid attention, I guess, then yeah, I could see now that you brought it to my attention. I'm like, ugh. It kind of reminds me when they go ahead and they keep saying that shit to Aunt Viv. Oh, you still got the Philly in you. You still got the Philly in you. This woman can't do a goddamn thing that's more than being preppy and classy without somebody coming out of nowhere, be like, yeah, you got the juice now. But the scene that I was thinking of was he got mustard on his blazer. And then he's like, oh man, you messed it up, Lisa. So he turned it inside out. Because in the show, he used to wear his blazer inside out. And then they stopped. They did it all slow motion and the camera circling around him. And I'm just like, oh, brother, like, give it a rest. And why the fuck does it even look like that inside out? I turn my blazer inside out. You just get the pockets looking all weird. And,
yeah, we don't have no cool designs on the inside of our school blazer. That's for sure.
Why you got the inside looking like a bandana?
Right.
That's weird. So, it just, I didn't like that. But
I mean, I would say for me though, that part. I mean, I guess the camera panning and slow motion, yeah, was probably a little bit much, but I liked that it was, he got the muscle of the shirt and then he turned it inside out. I thought that kind of went smoothly. To me, it felt like it fit with his character to do something like that. That being said, he's going to have mustard stain in his shirt though, because it's literally on the mustard's
yeah,
going to be on the inside of the shirt now, isn't it? So it's going to just get his other clothes messy, I guess. Maybe I should have thought about that one, thought that one through.
but I mean, for me, it's like they didn't have to make such a big deal out of it. If they had did it simple, like he just started wearing it inside out, I would have been like, oh, that's it's subtle. It's nobody like, okay, guys, let's slow it down. Let's go ahead and show that slow motion and shit, circle around them. Yeah, yeah, this is the moment. This is the moment right here. Like, it seemed like one of those shots where you see it in the trailer. It was made just for a trailer.
Yeah.
But yeah, of course, this is nitpicking. It's nothing serious. That on Viv shit does get on my nerves, though. I'm tired of it. Please do not do that in season 2. Please, for the love of God, do not have anybody go to on Viv and say, "Yeah, you still got Philly in you."
Yeah.
Oh my God, that shit is annoying.
So speaking of season 2, or maybe it's just season 2, just this season in general. So with the original Fresh Prince, Lou, Will's dad, didn't come into it. So I think like season 3 or 4 or something like that. This one, it had Lou come in at the end of the first season. Personally, I felt that was too soon. Like,
Yeah,
I felt like Lou coming into it this season was too. That's like a season 2, maybe season 3 thing for me. This season, it felt too soon. And don't get me wrong, I thought Marlon Wayans was incredible as Lou, like his as far as acting and stuff like that goes, he was awesome. And that whole scene he had the exchange with Smith, it was an incredible scene. But I just felt like this is something we should wait for. It just felt like it came a bit too soon for me. What did you think of that? Sounds like you agree.
I'll say this. One of the flaws was the fact that they overhyped him. I'm talking about when they spoke about Lou, they made this motherfucker sound like Voldemort or the Boogeyman. Nobody, like everybody was spooked. Like, are you sure? Are you sure? And then when the reveal happens, it's like, oh, okay. So he was just he got arrested. He went to jail, and that's not like that's it. Oh, he beat an old guy. Like, so what? Like this guy has to be vile. Like he should have been. You shouldn't have hyped him up that much. It should have been briefly like, yeah, like, or you could have just been straight up with it about, what type of person Lou was. But to be like, no, don't you speak that man's name in my house, stuff like that, to the point where you fire fucking your security. Yeah, yeah. You fire your security. Fucking
Jeffrey.
Yo, what they did with Jeffrey is amazing.
Jeffrey and Phil, I felt like were the most changed characters from their original.
Yeah,
they have elements of their original, of course. They all have elements of their original, but I feel like they were the most different from their original, especially Jeffrey. Yeah, and it makes sense. Don't get me wrong. I think for this show, it made sense that they don't have a butler. The type of show it was. It made sense they don't have a butler. So I'm glad they did something different. That he's not a butler, but he's employed by the family. But his true purpose of his job is maybe a little bit secretive. And they reference him as James Bond at one point, which is funny.
Yeah. There are some things that with Jeffrey, it didn't make sense. Like, I felt like with him being so insistent, like I get it. They allude to the fact that he has his own son. Like hell, Philip said it, directly. You're doing this because of your own son and such and such. And he, it's like I get it, but at the same time, what was the advantage? What was the advantage of Will meeting his father? Don't get me wrong. I love that scene. They needed that scene. They needed to meet, but I think is exactly what you said. They did it too soon, and in addition to that, they hyped it up too much. You gotta realize when you're hyping something up, you better deliver, because despite that scene being good, I was disappointed. I was disappointed personally because I felt like I was expecting more of a monster, whereas this guy, I ended up sympathizing with him. If you didn't make him seem like such a monster, then I wouldn't have been like, I would have looked at that scene entirely differently. And maybe I wouldn't have been as sympathetic with him. I felt like everybody was overhyping what he did wrong, just like they were overhyping what Will did wrong. Like Lisa's reaction. Oh, I can't believe you. Da, da, da. Lisa, shut the fuck up.
To be fair, Lisa, I think was more upset that he didn't tell her, not so much what he did. It was just the fact that he didn't tell her when they were confessing all their secrets or whatever. And he was like, oh yeah, I ain't got nothing to tell you. And then he pokes the bear and then finds out there was more they should have told her.
Yeah, and the thing is,
And by the
for
way,
me,
Lisa is incredible as well. Like when the actress who played Lisa was just
oh yeah,
yeah,
yeah, she's a good actress. Like my problem is just the character. The actor, great. Instantly, as it's something about her. She's very charismatic. As soon as she gets on the screen, your eyes are glued to her, and it's not even about oh she looks good or anything. I'm talking about her energy. It's something about her, the way she delivers and everything is so charismatic.
mm,
They did a great choice choosing her because she's drastically different from the original Lisa.
mm,
Um, but she like instant got liked her. But what I didn't like was Will choosing to mess around with her. I feel like that should have developed sometime down the road. You know, you could
mm,
have had moments where he's like flirting with her because that's what he does. But then when Carlton's like, yo, that used to be my girl, Will could back off. That's
yeah,
what I feel like should have happened personally because I feel like we have a code. You don't do shit like that. And these guys are even younger. And yeah, it's been done, but it's done out of disrespect. Like when things like that happens, it's a fight. So Carlton freaking out and everything, I get it. Maybe you shouldn't have pushed him into the pool like that because he could have drowned. But I get it.
mm,
And yeah, I just didn't like I feel like some conflicts with the characters, they were kind of forced. That 10th episode, man, it's like they kind of just they were rushing. That's what it felt like. It felt like they were rushing.
mm,
People were just being like right off the bat, being annoying, being reverting to their old habits from the first episode, maybe, and just being unreasonable, in my opinion. I felt uncomfortable. Like I'm watching people like I had the same reaction as when I was watching a show like Shameless, where these people are just being nasty to each other and being angry and spiteful, whatever. And it's like, yo, calm the fuck down. Like with him not telling Lisa that's completely understandable. I could understand her getting an attitude over it, but really think about the severity of what Uncle Phil did. He's a DA. It was, he crossed the line. He broke the law.
yeah,
Okay, and if he was ever found for that, he could probably go to jail too. He could probably lose everything that he had. That's why he pulled out of the race because he was like,
yeah. It's got
this
too
is not
much.
worth the risk. It's not worth the risk. The severity of that, like, he just met you. Shit, this is something that he didn't even tell his own family. He didn't even tell Carlton, okay,
Mm,
about what was going on. That's how serious it was. So for Lisa to go ahead and be unreasonable, I hope they just straight off the bat, season 2, episode 1, just eliminate that. Eliminate her attitude. I don't care because you did it before. You did it before with other characters where they just got over it. Like Carlton. That whole remember that scene where they're supposed to watch half of Will's basketball game and then go to his game.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
When he
And they
burst in that fucking gym after snoring the drugs, I was like, oh, I was holding my head. I'm like, oh my God. And they played the music, and I was like, yo, Carl, this is, I have to speak on this. I'm sorry. I have to say that first off, I love the original Carlton. So to
yeah,
see this version of Carlton is so satisfying. This Carlton is fucking crazy. And he has let this actor go a little more further because I feel like they're holding him back. Like every time when he's supposed to freak out, they pull him back. They pull him back. I want to see more of that Carlton from episode 1. The Carlton that went up to Will, didn't give a damn how tall Will was, pushed his ass in the pool. And then when Will confronted him, still had the guts to go ahead and stand there still. I want to see more of that Carlton because this guy is like deeply you can see this character is deeply disturbed. He's going through a lot, and then Will just kick things into high gear. And yeah,
mm,
now he has a supportive brother. And one thing I will say, which is cool, from episode 1, he says, well, I always wanted a brother. So that wasn't bullshit that they brought in later on in the
yeah.
season.
That's
It
actually
was
from
a
the original as
callback.
well. Carlton does it
Yeah,
in the original one as well.
yeah. So I love this character, man. He got on my nerves at first, but I understood him, and then I like that I know they say show don't tell, but it did feel good to have him explain himself,
Mm.
because otherwise it would be up to interpretation. Some people just don't want to forgive characters, none of that, you know. Um,
Okay, so with
yeah,
Carlton then, so Carlton was definitely one of the interesting. Well, they're all really interesting characters, but there was something about Carlton and kind of like a play on how he was in the original. I think what they did with this, it made sense in the dramatized version. That scene when he's in the locker room, I think it was the first or second episode when they're in the locker room after the game and they're singing the rap song, and it's Carlton, the only black guy there, surrounded by all white guys. I think it was all white guys, well, mostly white guys at least anyway.
I
And
think it was all white guys, but I could be wrong. I could be wrong.
yeah, but certainly one of the white guys, Connor,
Hmm.
um, while rapping a song, uses the word, the big word, the word
it
that white people should not be using. Word begins with an N, sometimes ends with an A, other times ends with an R.
depending
That
on their
word.
mood.
Exactly. But what was interesting to me about that is the explanation Carlton gave, where he talks about how rappers market hip hop music to a mostly white audience, right? And how can you do that and not expect them to use his word? And I feel like there's truth to that, in the sense that, I mean, hip hop has its origins in sort of underground cult, coming from the streets and things like that, right? But then certainly by maybe 2000s or so, in fact, especially around about sort of 2000s, hip hop was very commercialized, and so yeah, a lot of that it was mainstream music. A lot of that was predominantly white audience in Western
Hmm.
culture. If you like, the UK and in America, mostly it's going to be white people buying it, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, outside of the radio edits, it is going to be kill a nigga, do it, all of that, right? It's going to be
Hmm.
all of that. So, and then there was a whole thing with uh what's his guy's name, the guy, the rapper that brought the white girl on stage that used the word during the song, uh blanking on the name right now.
Oh, I don't even remember that.
Ken, no, the guy, the guy who does Humble, sit down, be
Humble.
humble. Who's that guy who does
Oh,
Humble?
Kendrick Lamar.
Yeah, him. Kendrick Lamar brought the white lady on stage on one of his concerts, and then rapping along. Got to rap along, and then that word came up. And he was like, "Oh no, you can't say that word." And it's like, "Well, you brought her on stage, dude. Like, you brought her on stage. Show us to saying." It's like, come on. So yeah, I feel like there's elements of truth to that. Like,
Yeah.
you're marketing this thing to mostly white people in when it comes to Western culture. Um, do you feel like there is still a line to be drawn though between what can be said and what can't be said, or do you feel like actually it's just kind of fair game at this point, as somebody who lives in that part of the world?
For me, it's like this. It depends on how you do it. So, if you have no regard, like you're not self-conscious about it at all, like you're just saying it and you feel kind of entitled to it. Like, hey man, I'm just supporting rap. I'm just singing the song. It's not a big deal. If you're one of those people, fuck you. Like,
Mm,
because you're not doing it out of innocence. Like somebody who's just rapping and they're just in the moment, they will go ahead and be like, "Oh, I'm sorry." Like, like, "Ah, shit, I didn't even realize," because you're not thinking about it. But people who are arrogant and they feel entitled, like, they want to defend themselves about it. Like, I'm not saying that you can't defend yourself, but go ahead and explain. Like, say, yeah, I wasn't even thinking. I was just rapping to it. I'm sorry. Like, my bad. Something like that. It's like when you fuck up, when you make a mistake, you apologize for it. But some people will go ahead. People like this character Connor will go ahead and sit there and argue and like, what the fuck are you mad about? You're being sensitive over something. It's just a word. It's just a word. I hate hearing that shit. So that's my stance on it. I'm not like white people can't say it at all, but like it depends on the context. It depends
mm,
on, the person themselves and just overall how they carry themselves afterwards.
mm. I could agree with that. I mean, I think context does matter. It's like, you watch a movie or whatever, and some characters saying it because maybe that's part of the script, and they're depicted a particular time in history or whatever it may be, and it's like, okay, that is what it is,
Yeah.
Um,
Leonardo DiCaprio and Django
Django
Unchained.
Unchained. Yep. He used that word real freely.
In front of Samuel L. Jackson of all people.
So yeah, I think that's what it comes down to. It's like how it's used, why it's used, and I mean, I don't know if there's any like hard and fast rule as to when it can be said and when it can't be said, but certainly the context is always going to matter in how it's being said, why it's being said, and case by case scenario, I suppose. But it comes down to it really. I'll say personally though, like I'd rather not be called that when it comes like if a white guy's coming to me like, yo, what's up, man? They go like, nah, we're not doing that.
No.
we're not doing that.
No.
We're not doing that.
Absolutely not.
And I guess I don't feel as bad if it was a black guy saying that. And then partly because I feel like I at least know on some level there's a familiarity of where it's coming from. You know what I mean? Whereas with a white person, I don't know that, at least not right away. And something that I'm sure not a lot of black people would admit, but I don't know if you ever see the film Gridlocked with Tupac and Tim Roth, where they have a similar scene where he's talking where Tim Roth is using the word nigger in front of Tupac and his black friends, and afterwards Tupac was like, "I told you don't say that word in front of my friends." So the issue wasn't that he used the word; the issue was that he used it in front of his friends.
Yeah.
And I feel like that scene is more truthful than a lot of people like to admit.
Oh, definitely.
People is that you might have a friend that you generally don't mind because you know them for a while, you know they're cool, and they're not saying it to be hurtful. You know that guy's cool, so you maybe know it's not that you like it, but you generally don't mind as much coming from them. But then, as long as they don't say it in front of your black friends, just no.
Because now you gotta defend them,
right? Exactly.
And if you defend them, it looks wrong. Just like when Carlton was defending his friends or whatever, it looked wrong. Not that he should have defended them because that was different, but. I love that scene.
All right. I'm gonna talk about a few other characters. So
definitely.
You mentioned
like
Hillary.
Ashley.
Oh yeah, we could talk about Ashley in a bit, but let's talk Hillary for now because you mentioned Hillary. I thought Hillary was incredible. I liked what they did with Hillary, and like you said before, she was intelligent. She had quite a few of the elements of the original Hillary, but just more modern, smarter. I liked how she was training or wanting to be a chef, using social media. I felt the social media aspect was fitted perfectly with her. Yes. And I liked that she was a bit more, sort of, not even a bit more, but just kind of in tune with who she is and her culture. But one of the things
very more confident.
Yeah. But I'll say the thing that I love the most about this Hillary, which is the same thing about the original Hillary as well, that no matter who she is, whether she was dumb, smart, whatever it is, she was always a big sister to Ashley. Like she always, when it came to like being a big sister, it didn't matter whether she had something to do, this to go. It was, okay, let's talk about it. And that was the same with the original Hillary as well. And same with this Hillary. And I was like, that is incredible. And it just worked when, when Ashley wanted to talk about her feelings for girls and the sort of LGBT aspects of it. And it was like, this felt like it fitted where she was like, okay, let's talk about it. Big sister mode.
Yeah, I really liked everything that they did with Hillary, even when she pissed me off, what she did with Jazz and everything, and Kylo. That guy Kylo is a fucking creep. Good actor, because he just, oh my god, I didn't like anything about that character.
I haven't had an experience with those sorts of that side of YouTube in terms of like YouTube houses. I can imagine though that is probably pretty accurate. From the things that I hear, I can imagine that sort of character is pretty accurate. So yeah,
I mean, you see it all the time where YouTubers that pull in a lot of numbers and they're like actually living off of that money, they have to do certain things that they may not like. Like, mukbangers. There's one mukbanger. I'm not going to name them specifically, but there's one that is constantly bullied online or whatever, constantly talked about, used as memes and all that shit. But he has no choice. Actually, it's either go ahead and quit this and get a regular job or keep doing it and making as much money as you can. So yeah, I get it. That was what was going to bring in the high numbers, not just Hillary being, who she is, because there are so many. You have to think about it from a very blunt point of view. There are so many people online doing the same thing, and you have to stand out. And this was one way to stand out. That's the way how Kylo saw it. Even besides him, it was that other person that was there. She was like, "Yeah, you know, um, at first I used to be against it, but now I see it, and it doesn't bother me as much anymore." I forgot the character's name, but yeah, she spoke to Hillary about that, and I got it. I understood it. I didn't like it. I didn't like the fact that Hillary had to go that route, and that she was thinking about doing it again. But regardless, I understood it, and I do like that storyline. I like how she had a chance to show that she's flawed. She's not perfect. I really, really, really like this character. Holy shit! Like, I want to see more of this character. Oh, and also I would like to also go in also about the dynamic between her and Aunt Viv.
Right. Yeah.
Very good. So good. Because even
Yeah.
though
The
it gets
clashes. Yeah.
hurtful, yeah, it gets very hurtful sometimes. But that's the pain goes both ways. There are times where Aunt Viv says something that kind of like hurts Hillary, and you can understand why it would hurt her. So Hillary says some things not immediately in response to that, but just okay, we're on this level now. So later down the road, she'll say something that hurts Aunt Viv, but they both grow from it. It's not said to hurt that person, but instead to kind of help them, and it does end up helping them. For specifically, Hillary was like, mentioning that Aunt Viv gave up on art.
Yeah.
And the way how she said it was hurtful. But
Yeah.
that's what inspired Aunt Viv to start going into art again. Aunt Viv said something about Hillary need to be more responsible or something, and needed to, stop depending on depending on people. And so Hillary started focusing on being more independent. So you see these characters hurt each other, but it's out of love, and they end up growing from it. I love that, and their arguments are sound. Usually you'll have like a typical argument between two characters, and you already know who's right and you already know who's wrong. But this is not the case. It depends on your maturity level or your own experience. Are you going to side with Aunt Viv? Or are you going to side with Hillary? Me personally, I see both sides because I'm like smacked in the middle when it comes to my age and my experience. I'm not that well versed into social media and everything, the algorithms and everything like that, but I have a basic understanding of it. So for me, I'm on both sides, and I love that. I love that neutral stance on shows because that's not easy to write.
Yeah, I mean, I like that. I mean, the conversations that Hillary was having with, especially when they were clashing, a lot of that I feel like if you are a creative person, there's things that you can relate to because I think a lot of creative people or expressive people, go through whether it's a period or even just their whole sort of creativity where their parents don't really understand what they're doing or want to do something else, and the wanting to do something else from the parents often comes from their upbringing, and Aunt Viv coming from a poor background, so she's maybe more focused on, oh, you got to do this because it's going to make more money, it was going to be more stable and financial stability, this and the other. The way you're going right now is so unstable, so she's not looking. It's like if you tell if you ever tell your parents you want to be an actor or whatever like that, it's like, well, they'd rather you be an engineer. It's that kind of thing.
Mhm.
And I feel like a lot of people
Yeah.
who go through that, whether it's with YouTube, acting, or anything else, a lot of times you have parents who, it's not that they aren't supportive or don't want you to pursue things, but they want you to have a backup plan. And as a creative, you don't see having a backup plan as a plan at all because you just know that you want to do this thing. You're not
Mhm.
thinking about, like, at least you're not always thinking about the money. You're not always thinking about, this, that, and the other. What you're thinking about is, I want to be able to create in an authentic way, in as authentic way as possible. And that might, and in fact, it often means you don't make as much money, right? So, I feel like those conversations you was having with, especially when they're clashing, a lot of times that's kind of like, yeah, 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 yeah.
Yeah, what I saw was an example of when parents are just trying to pave the way for their children. Like, listen,
Mm,
I had to work hard and everything. I just wish there was somebody that made it a little easier for me. I'm
yeah,
trying to do that for you.
yeah,
But I also see it from Hillary's point of view, where I don't want you to pave a way for me, because then I can't say that I earned this. You gave it to me. You made it this way. I want to earn it, and I respect that. But also, again, from Viv's point of view, like me, there are times where I'm just like, please just make this shit work out. If somebody would just come out of nowhere and give me $1 million, I would be so fucking happy. Hell, I'll even take $500,000. And so,
Hey,
you know,
run
there are
that check.
times where,
Run that check.
yeah, exactly. You just want it to be easier for you. So I get it from Aunt Viv's point of view. You struggled already, so you know, in your mind, when you're struggling, you just wish you could get some help sometimes, depending on what type of person you are. I don't want to speak for everyone.
Sure.
So that's all she's doing. But again, it's not even too prideful. It's out of self-respect. Like, Hillary wants to do something that she's like, I started from the bottom. I did this. I did it.
Yeah.
And I got it on my own. And I get that. I totally respect it. And that's, again, I love this dynamic between them two. And I hope that it doesn't get to the point where it gets annoying. I just want to continue seeing continue seeing these two characters challenge each other and grow from it. And I want to see that for other characters as well. Now, I don't know if you're ready to go on Ashley, so I'll wait.
No, we could talk about Ashley. I was actually about to ask, because you mentioned Ashley. So, I mean, I think, to be fair, I mean, I liked Ashley. I don't think I have too much to say about Ashley, because she didn't feature a whole lot in the season. Of course, the big thing with her is that she's bisexual, but that seemed to be the only thing about her character. So
exactly, that's my problem with her.
Okay,
that's my problem. Is that, yeah, it's interesting that you made her bisexual, but at this point in time, it's not shocking to me. At least for me, we have so many gay characters, so many bisexual characters, all types of characters nowadays. There's no reason why her biggest plot point is that she's bisexual. Even her mom is not like worried about it. And I'm quite sure Uncle Phil's not gonna be like, Ashley, you like women, and be all angry. There's no struggle there. Like, I get it, you know, that she's like apprehensive about it, but her family is so accepting of it, that the biggest conflict was that the girl that she likes doesn't like her back and actually likes Will. But we already saw a reference to that before, you know, because that was a reference. Like, one of Ashley's friends had a crush on Will.
Yeah, the original one.
Yeah, so,
and Will made a joke that was so inappropriate that I'm glad it didn't repeat in this one.
So, you know, for me, I wanted to see more of Ashley, because the actor, like, right off the bat, she seems like she can act. Give her the opportunity to act. Give her some stories. Don't have her just sit in the background. Like, there were times I forgot Ashley was in the damn show. She was just, everything about her was just around this girl, and that was it. And that's it. She didn't have any conflict with Will. She didn't have any interact. The original, granted, we're talking about a show that had a whole, you know, several seasons and everything, but still, remember that in the original, Ashley was involved. Ashley had things to do. Ashley had things to say. Yeah, Ashley was aspiring to be into music at one point. Don't forget those things of the original character. Don't neglect this character and just harp on, well, she's going to be the bisexual one. Do not use her sexuality as her identity, please. That could just be a part of it. Shit, for all we know, Trey could be bisexual, because the way how Trey was acting with Will Smith, and I wanted to go back to Philly, that was kind of like, you know, there might be something more there, and I wouldn't mind that. It'll be fine. I do want to see Trey come back. But my main point is, do not use sexuality or whatever just to go ahead and be like, that's that character. And that goes for any trait. Any trait. Do not make them one-note characters. This is not the show for that, because then you're falling into that reboot shit that people are fearing about. And again, this actress, she didn't get to show much, but for what she did get to show, like in the first episode, I was like, oh man, Ashley gotta be a little badass, because the way how they were all three talking in a room, like, yeah, you know, we're gonna, you know, they're talking about their family and they're talking so prideful. And I was like, ooh, I want to see more of this. I want to see all three of them get together and show, like, you know, they got some shit in control. That's what I was expecting to see, and expecting Will to go ahead and like go in there and be like, all right, you guys are being a little too sneaky. Calm down. This is how you do it, or whatever. I was expecting more of that, or them pulling Will into the loop. Unfortunately, it seemed like they kind of dropped that, but that first episode, don't forget about that. And again, Ashley, give her more. Please just give her more.
Right. What do you think of Jeffrey? So, in particular, I want to ask about Jeffrey because there was a scene in the show where it looked like Jeffrey did some shadiness, and it was kind of suggested, and even Will was kind of thinking of that one time. But do you think Jeffrey actually had that gangster killed?
Oh, hell yeah. And if he didn't, I call bullshit. Because they did the Wire scene where I know you haven't seen The Wire, but basically there are times where two characters, they ain't supposed to be meeting, but they meet and they drive up in the cars just like that. Or, somebody will be in a passenger side or whatever the case may be. And you talk about it vaguely. Like, yeah, you got the money, right? All right. And and then somebody dies and you already know what's what. Don't have it be like some bullshit where you cop out and you pull back because you feel like you went too far. If you are afraid of that, you shouldn't have gone that route in the first place. You already went that move. You already implied it heavily. There's no reason for it to be like, oh, it's a coincidence that he died. No. Then what was that? No, just have it to where Jeffrey did that. He had it handled. That's a part of him. And you could even have Will talk about it. If you don't want to take it to the extent where, Will feels like he has to turn Jeffrey in, just have them have a talk, and have this kind of tension where Will's like, he doesn't know how to react to it, but over time, he gets over it. Something like that. Or you can even bring it like escalate. You could bring it to where he really thinks about it like, these guys, they play it straight, but look how they're willing to bend rules. Like, Phil is willing to go ahead and break the law. Jeffrey is willing to commit murder, but it's out of to protect their family. So you could bring it back to his father, where he's thinking about his father. Like, is my father justified for some of the shit that he did? There's plenty about exactly. Yeah. There's so much potential, and even his father could argue and be like, I want to see his father become a reoccurring character because I feel like Will could learn a lot from him.
If they brought him in necessarily, I think that's a good thing, a good way to go, because they don't have to go the exact same route as the original, and especially is they've clearly done some things different anyway. So the fact they brought him in necessarily, I think it makes sense to have him, maybe not every episode, but certainly a bit more frequent.
Yeah, like an occasional character. I would like to see him like at least once a season, at least once, just to have him be like one of those people that nobody knows that he's Will is talking to him, but every now and then Will go to him to get some counseling, like to get some advice. Because at the end, that conversation between those two, it was so good. It wasn't like the original, really. It really wasn't. Totally different vibe to me, honestly. I did not feel like this Lou, Marlon Wayne's Lou, is crazily different from the original, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Their dynamic is way different. Will didn't even get disrespectful. The most he did was call him by his first name because he was hurt.
Lou.
Yeah.
Says that the first one.
But
as well.
This motherfucker, this new Will, he called him a bitch ass nigga. And then Lou grabbed him by the throat. Yo, and you want to know something cool? They said that whole scene was improvised.
What, the new one?
Yeah.
Okay.
The whole thing was improvised. And you got to realize that's fucking great. That means that Marlon Wayne sat there and thought of a whole background story for his own character. That's crazy. And then Jabari Banks had to respond in an appropriate way. Incredible. Very good scene. Overall, the episode, like I said, was disappointing, but that scene was great. Great scene. It will be a waste not to have this character come back. And I feel like Marlon Wayne's, this is the perfect time for him to really, like, he's getting older now. So we're going to see him less frequently and eventually retirement, right? Let him go out on a high note because we've been waiting for, I don't know about you, but I've been waiting for Marlon Wayans to just drop this whole bullshit that he's doing. I get it. If you're earning money, I'll be doing the same damn thing. If I screamed around acting like a jackass and I got money for it, I'm going to do that every single time. I'm not going to go ahead and take a risk trying to give it my all in another role like Requiem for a Dream. You know, but good acting. Oh my God, Marlon Wayans, man, he really came back. He came back just for one. Like, I want to see him come back again to this show.
Yeah.
He has a lot to offer, and we just need to take in as much as we can while we have the opportunity to do so.
No, definitely. Hopefully they did it as well, but well, I guess we'll see.
Yeah.
All right, so let's talk about a few more characters. So Vivian, the artist. There was a scene where she meets the two, was it art people, and she walks into a room, and it's the lady who played the second Aunt Viv, with the lady who played Will's mum in the original. And although I have no issue with the characters, the scene, the actors, all fine, part of me was kind of like, I wish that was both Aunt Vivs. You know what I mean? Like the original Aunt Viv with the second Aunt Viv, and then a new Aunt Viv coming in. So all three Aunt Vivs in that scene. How awesome would that have been? You know?
I feel the same way. And I really thought, okay, she's not in this scene, so they're gonna bring her like later on. She's gonna be something big in
I
it,
heard she is a
later
part
on.
of it. I heard she's a part of it in some way. So yeah, I guess maybe season 2 or something. But
No,
I'm pretty sure I heard some
they
of
have
Jack
to
Hubert is a part
bring
of it.
her. They have to. It's a fact. If they don't bring her, I'm protesting. I'm protesting if they don't bring her in season 2, because I really thought she was going to show up in this episode, the season finale episode. I thought they were going to do that. Don't get me wrong. It's great what they did. They had this very touching moment that still gets me kind of emotional thinking about it, where the light-skinned Aunt Viv, she looks at a painting, and it's obviously the original Uncle Phil. And the look that she gave that picture, you could see pain, love, and all that just on her face alone. And they just let the camera linger on her just for a few seconds and then
Oh, I
moved
don't
on.
think I noticed that. Damn.
Oh my God, you have to go back and look at that scene. I'm getting emotional thinking about it. I'm not going to talk too much about it. I ain't trying to cry on the damn podcast, but oh my God, that scene was so fucking, like, that moment was so beautiful. So beautiful. Because as soon as I saw that picture, I was like, that's Uncle Phil. And then she looked at it, and oh my God, man, don't get me started. Because I saw the reunion as well, and she had that same face when they were looking at the clips. And it's like, oh man, my heart. And then it makes you appreciate the people that are there, because easily she could have been gone. Not to jinx them or anything, so knock on wood, but she could have been gone. The mother could have been gone. Anybody. We take people for granted sometimes. So it was just a very loving moment, and I appreciate that moment. But yeah, the original Aunt Viv needs to be there. I don't care how troublesome she may be, supposedly. I don't care. Attitude and all, have her ass in there, because she act her ass off. That is one incredible actress. Nobody can beat the original Aunt Viv at being Aunt Viv. You get me? Like, that's a
She was
fact.
awesome.
Amazing. Amazing.
She really owns that role,
Goddamn right.
And I think this new Aunt Viv, her character seems to take more from the original Aunt Viv than the second Aunt Viv. Because the second Aunt Viv, she was fine, but definitely the role was much more reduced at that point than it was with with Janet Hubert. So I guess just by default, there's a lot more to draw from the original one. But yeah, she definitely had a lot of elements from Janet Hubert's Aunt Viv than
like I
Daphne
said, down
Reid's
to the
Aunt Viv.
voice. The voice is extremely reminiscent of the original Aunt Viv. So I was expecting her to show up somewhere, and then when I saw like the light skin Aunt Viv and Will's mom, I was like, oh, this is cool. Oh, but wait till they show. I'm thinking that she's gonna come into the room and she's like the top boss. I'm waiting the whole fucking episode, even after Will's dad and shit. I'm waiting for Janet to come in. No Janet. I was disappointed. I was hurt. And I was like, season 2, you have to bring her in. If you don't bring her in season 2, we got problems.
We got Will Smith slap coming along.
You damn right. Welcome to the director, just like that.
All right. So I think there's just one more character to talk about, which is Phil, I believe. Well, we talked about everyone else, I think, or have I missed anybody?
We did not talk about Phil.
So yeah, it's just Phil to left to talk about then.
I mean, there's Jazz, but there's not much to say about Jazz.
Yeah,
you have some.
I mean, I liked Jazz. I thought he was a cool character.
Yeah,
I liked what they did with him. But yeah, I guess I mean, like the original, he's more of a background character. Well,
yeah.
I guess he's a bit
He's
more in the foreground
more
in this
involved.
one.
Yeah,
And I liked that they did the same thing with him and Hillary, where this time they actually are together rather than him just chasing after her. Because I feel
yeah.
like that probably would have been a bit lame. So I like that. They're in
And
sync
then people
from the
probably would have
beginning.
it would have rubbed people the wrong way. They probably would have saw it as a little creepy nowadays
Mm.
because a
And
different audience now.
I'm kind of still hoping though that they find some way to fit in throwing Jez out of the house though. If they can find a really cool way to fit that into the show, please
I
don't
would
force it
love
in.
that.
Don't force it in. But if they can find a way that feels natural to the show of kicking Jazz out of the house, that'd be awesome.
Yeah. Even if it's like a dream sequence, something, I don't care.
Right. You know what I mean?
Just, like you said, don't force it because it's not worth it. It's not worth the, being forced or whatever. Because I don't want to see another scene. Like for me personally, I don't want to see another scene like what they did with his jacket. Just chill.
Mm. Right, so what did you think of the new Philip Banks? Because I felt like he's, along with Jeffrey, he was the most changed character from the original.
Mhm.
This time round, he's. I mean, I guess, of course, there's still elements of the original Uncle Phil in there, but this time round, he definitely seems to be, a lot more ambitious. There's a lot more, almost ruthless. Not quite ruthless, of course, because we'll see how it plays out. But he just seems to have a lot more of that kind of business mind, go get anything at all costs character. Not quite all the way there yet, but he seems very more close to that. If you know what I mean? So which is fine. I felt like that helped with the show, like in the beginning when Jeffrey's handing Jazz the money, and they kind of come over as these two rich gangsters, just stop in the car and like, where you think you're going, that sort of thing. So he came across very much as I'm going to do what I need to do to get to where I need to be, and also I thought it was a cool change for Uncle Phil. But I really liked by the time we get to the end that he realizes that there are more important things, and he did need to put his family first. So he bowed out of the race, the
Mhm.
politics. What did you think of Phil?
I feel like at first when obviously when you see the appearance, you're like, these are two dramatically different characters. The most they got in common is that they got bald heads.
And
Even
Pids.
then, you can't even say,
Mhm.
it's the same exactly. But the more I watched him, the more it reminded me of the original Uncle Phil. I feel like the best way to describe the two is this new Uncle Phil is like a younger version of the original Uncle Phil.
Mm,
This is because when we first see Uncle Phil, this is when he's already at, past his prime pretty much. He's already this is when he's about to retire, it seems like. He has about
mm,
5, 10 more years at most. This new Uncle Phil, he seems like he got like 30, 40 more years to go before he's talking about
yeah.
retirement. So you get to see more of that ambition. But there were times in the original where you got to see Uncle Phil running for office. And if I'm not mistaken, for some reason in my head, I feel like that whole Yamacraw thing was a reference to the original because I could have
Yeah, it
sworn,
was.
and
It
I might be
was.
yeah,
Yeah.
because I remember there was like a scene where the original Uncle Phil was doing something similar, but not like the whole damn dance, like ooh,
Ooh,
it's
it's
cold in
cold in
here.
here. There must be some alphas in that. Yeah, I don't think they did I don't. Well, they did have a frat dance, but not with Uncle Phil. There was like Top Dog or something.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
That did it. But yeah, the Yamacraw was what they called the original Uncle Phil because that was his nickname from the place that he grew up. So yeah, that is from the original.
Okay, good. Because yeah, it's somewhere in my head, but I could be imagining it. Like again, your mind plays tricks on you. But
Mm,
yeah, I really feel like Uncle Phil, this new one, he's like again the younger version. You get to see him trying to get to that point that our Uncle Phil, original Uncle Phil, it was at. He's trying to get to that point, and there's so many things in the way of that, and he's just trying to rush. But he's starting to learn. Okay, if I'm going to do this, I have to do it when it's my time. I can't just go ahead and yank it. I
mm.
can't just force it. So I have to take my time and do it when it's right. There are too many things in the way of this. Maybe it's not meant to happen just yet. And I like that. Another thing I like about this Uncle Phil is that almost everything that he says that's going on or is going to happen, it comes true. But they don't throw it in your face. Like he doesn't go to them and say, I told you. He doesn't do any of that. He just comforts them, and that's that. He moves on. When he has to take a licking or a beating, he takes it like a man and he walks away for the most part. The only time I saw him really stand his ground and not go ahead and turn his cheek was with Jeffrey. That's it. Jeffrey was like the only person that he was fighting that motherfucker on, because he turned his cheek to every single, like he'll go ahead, start have the argument, and the moment it starts escalating, he'll turn his cheek. Like with that same scene with the people that he went to the fraternity with. I mean, that he had the fraternity with.
Yeah.
When they started, cracking jokes on him and putting him down, he was like, all right. And he got his stuff up and he was getting ready to go. When Aunt Viv was confronting him and it was like, yeah, I didn't pursue my dreams because of you. You didn't stop me. You didn't save me. And that's not his fault. He didn't tell you to stop. But anyway, he ended up leaving. He walked out because she didn't want him to be there. Not because he got mad and he left, but because she asked him to leave. So he left. This Uncle Phil needs to continue being that person that's clear-headed, above all, and smart, because that's what the original Uncle Phil was.
Yeah.
He was the guidance. He was the one that kept everybody together. Everybody.
Yeah.
And that's why when he died, not that's why, but when the characters, or rather the actors, I should say, was
James
reflecting
Avery.
on him. Yeah. Reflecting on James Avery's death, it really affected them even to that day, because he got to play this father role so well. And that's what a father should be. He was the ideal father for so many people and generations even.
Yeah.
And I want this character, this new Uncle Phil, to follow in those footsteps. Please do not corrupt this character too much. It's okay to let him, doing the whole, he broke not Jeffrey, Will out of jail and all that with some lies. Fine. That's fine. I think the original Uncle Phil could do something like that. He didn't do. I mean, it's kind of like a reference almost when you think about it, because remember there was a scene where Will and Carlton got arrested, even though it was under some racist shit.
Yeah.
And they got pulled over. It was kind of like that.
Yeah,
but of course, in a more dramatic way.
Your grandchildren are going to need lawyers.
Yeah. So, man, I love this character. I want them to continue making him be strong. Do not flaw him too much, because then you're taking away from him. He needs to, like, as much dirt as he has on himself already, that's too much already. Let it be. You already made that decision. Do not go back and try to clean him up. No. Let it be. Move on. Continue making him be this strong person, this stronghold. And I guess go ahead and test him. But understand that you have so many other characters that could be tested and they will grow. And this character could just be the wise one. Like, for example, I'm not going off topic, but just as an example, like Yoda. Yoda didn't really change throughout Star Wars. All Star Wars, this motherfucker didn't really change. But nobody dislikes Yoda. Nobody's sitting there like, oh, this motherfucker. Like he's pulling a John Cena,
Well, I mean, Yoda is an idiot, but that's a topic. I won't get into that now because, that's a whole nother thing. But anyway, I get what you mean.
I'm interested in that. But yeah, like, I just really like what they're doing with Uncle Phil. And I hope that they don't. It's scary. It's scary to think about what they could end up doing if they're not careful, if they don't really just chill. What do you think?
No, I think I'd agree with that. I think, I think it'd be interesting to see if they test his morality and that sort of thing in the coming seasons. But there's a danger of him being too corrupt, because then it's kind of like, what are you really saying here? You know what I mean? And, so it can be, I mean, of course, there's all kinds of things they can go, and maybe the things we think could be awful might actually end up being amazing. You don't really know until it's really done. But yeah, I do feel like there is a danger of going too corrupt. So I feel like have what they've done so far is fine because it made sense for the character, to do something to help his nephew out. But then it's like that maybe that's just where he draws the line, and everything else is going to be off limits. But then it could be a case of, well, now that he's done this, something else happens. How far does that line get pushed back? Like I feel like it could be an interesting thing to explore in coming seasons. How far can you push back that line to help your family out? So but we'll see what they do. But yeah, I'd agree with what you said. But yeah, I think nearly 3 hours. I think that's probably a good place to start wrapping up this podcast. So yeah, dude, appreciate you coming through. Appreciate you chatting with me.
No, I appreciate you reaching out. I enjoyed this. It didn't even feel like that long to me.
I need to get some honey and lemon and something. But yeah, hopefully I'll be feeling a lot better by the time we chat again. Boy, that was no, I think I did okay. Well, I think I got through it okay. Hopefully I didn't cough and sneeze too much. No. So if it's not too bad on your ears. But I do apologize for anybody listening if it was a bit loud. I'm sorry. But yeah, hopefully by the next one I'll be feeling a bit better. Or at least my voice be a bit better. But yeah, that's gonna be all for now. So dude, appreciate you coming through, appreciate everybody listening and or watching. And until whenever, if ever, peace.